WDAF, Kansas City.
Dan Henry, WDAF Local News at 11. The outlook for Kansas City cool. One party was fatally shot tonight in the armed robbery of a service station at 21st and Indiana in Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City detectives are investigating and withholding the name of the victim pending notification of next of kin. Preliminary reports indicate there may have been no money taken in the hold-up attempt.
News of the hour on the hour from American Information Radio. This is Richard Wall from Los Angeles, and at this hour, President Nixon says he's given Congress and the public all relevant evidence on Watergate and related issues. And in Phoenix, Arizona tonight, the president told a Republican rally,
"The time has come to get Watergate behind us and get on with the business of America." The time has come for the President and the Congress to devote their full attention to what you, the people of Arizona and America, think are of your great concerns.
President Nixon was warmly received by the GOP crowd. In a broadcast taped in Phoenix earlier, Democratic Congressman Morris Udall of Arizona criticized the White House for sending transcripts rather than tapes to the House impeachment inquiry.
That either the President has committed impeachable offenses and should be tried and removed from office, or he hasn't. And every day that goes by without delivery of all the evidence to Congress and to the special prosecutor drags this process out and hurts this country.
Congressman Udall is the featured speaker at the Democrats' counter rally in Phoenix tonight. The vice president on the transcripts, that story coming up.
Paper's full of those women again. They say they don't have equal opportunity. Ridiculous.
I don't know, Bob. I'm beginning to see they may have something there.
What do you mean? Your daughter Mary Jean's doing all right, isn't she?
Oh, yeah, just great. She's finishing college with almost a straight A average. Cost me $15,000. Hey, she wants a job in publishing. Can I send her to see you?
Sure. Always glad to have a bright, pretty girl like Mary Jean around. We'll start her in the typing pool.
Typing pool? Good college, great grades, and a $15,000 diploma so she can be a typist? If she were a young man, would you say the same thing?
Let's stop neglecting one of the greatest untapped resources we have, the young women of our country. They deserve the same breaks as young male graduates who often move into executive training jobs straight out of college. Stereotyping women constantly as office workers only is just not fair. Woman power, it's much too good to waste. This message sponsored by the Now Legal Defense and Education Fund.
Vice President Gerald Ford has outlined his impressions of the transcripts released in answer to the House Judiciary Committee subpoena for tapes for the impeachment investigation. Correspondent Bill Zimmerman reports from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
The Vice President told a news conference here in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, that he has been disappointed at some of the talk and harsh language indicated by the edited White House transcripts. Said Ford, you can't help but be a little disappointed in what you've seen and read. But overall, the Vice President said he still believes President Nixon is innocent of Watergate and its cover-up. Bill Zimmerman, ABC News, with the Vice President in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
State tax officials in Sacramento say President Nixon has paid more than $5,000 in back taxes, interest, and penalties here in California. Senator Edward Kennedy says he disagrees with critics who say President Nixon might give away too much on nuclear arms limitation with the Soviets to draw attention from Watergate. Kennedy says the president should make a Moscow trip this summer. U.S. officials with Secretary of State Henry Kissinger in Damascus say there was some progress toward a disengagement agreement with Israel in Kissinger's talks with Syrian President Hafez Assad. But Reuters quotes sources in Damascus as saying there was no agreement by Assad and Kissinger on any point. In San Francisco, the FBI says it's believed that Patricia Hearst stayed in the Symbionese Liberation Army apartment raided last night. The FBI says the SLA apparently pulled out of the apartment about a week ago. 3 men have been arraigned in San Francisco on murder charges in the zebra killings. 4 others arrested in the zebra case were released for lack of evidence. Atomic Energy Commission officials say a cloud of radioactive gas has drifted off the South Carolina coast. The tritium gas was accidentally released from the AEC Savannah River plant. This is Information Radio News.
From the Kurt Murray Sports Desk, the Kansas City Royals will be hosting the Yankees tomorrow and Sunday. Pistol Pete Maravich has signed with the NBA's new franchise in New Orleans. Kansas City's Tommy Watson is tied with Bruce Crampton in third place in the Byron Nelson Golf Classic in Dallas after the second round. And 23 horses are set to run tomorrow in the largest field yet in the Kentucky Derby. The Kansas City outlook fair and colder tonight with a chance for scattered light frost in low-lying areas, the low in the upper 30s generally, sunny and warmer tomorrow with a high near 70. Dan Henry, WDAF News.
Mystery Theater presents... Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to another hour of mystery and suspense, to a terrifying battle of wits. Our play poses a dilemma you have never faced, or are likely to face in your lifetime. Whether to commit the murder in your heart when your mind tells you to restrain yourself. Listen to what happened to one man, Thomas Drake, who did face that dilemma, and what he did about it.
Professor Mallory, if you're a friend of Emery's, you've got to tell him to stay away from my wife.
Really now, Drake, I don't like to interfere in the personal life of faculty
You
members.
must. You must tell him, or I won't be responsible. I don't want to kill him, but I don't trust myself.
Come now, Drake. Sensible people don't solve their marital problems like that. With murder.
Our mystery drama, Under Grave Suspicion, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Hank Warner and stars Ralph Bell. It is sponsored in part by the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal, and by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
You've seen the Budweiser commercials on television, and maybe you've wondered how long people have been putting that famous Bud label on things. Well, not as long as the brewers of Bud have been putting things on the label. Things like a list of Bud's most important ingredients. Quote, brewed by our original process from the choicest hops, rice, and best barley malt. And things like the following statement. This is the famous Budweiser beer. We know of no brand produced by any other brewer which costs so much to brew and age. Our exclusive Beechwood aging produces a taste, a smoothness, and a drinkability you'll find in no other beer at any price. Unquote. Yes, brewing beer right does make a difference. Read the Bud label. Taste the king of beers, and you'll agree, when you say Budweiser, you've said it all. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
A, we're the action corps. C, we contribute more.
T's for the teamwork of our crew.
I, our ideals are high.
Oh, oughtn't you apply?
Means it's now that we need you. A, C, D, boy. We could go on all day.
Oh.
Here's why volunteers are needed right away.
Action is VISTA, the Peace Corps, RSVP, SCORE, and other volunteer programs that are helping people to help themselves. If you're trained in a skill or just have a little love to share, Action needs you.
Yeah, baby. Action really needs you.
Don't crawl under a rock. Get into action.
Oh, yeah.
This is a public service of this station and the Advertising Council.
Have you ever returned home late one night and listened in the still darkness, tense and trembling, hoping and praying that you would not hear the whispered passions of your wife and a stranger. Fearful that you would not control a blinding fury to kill. That man getting out of the car on that dark end road on the windswept bluff overlooking the desolate Long Island Sound beach, hurrying by cloud-veiled moonlight down the winding footpath through the scrub pines and brush to his isolated cottage, is Thomas Drake. Despondent, depressed.
I should have telephoned, given us some warning that I'd be home a night earlier. But deep down I had the feeling that I still couldn't trust her. And I had to find out. I hurried towards the cottage, wondering why there were no lights on. Wondering whether she was asleep, alone, or with... I walked around from the back of the house, across the gravel mound, toward the waterside porch steps, not caring whether the crunch of my footsteps could be heard inside. The only other sound was my pounding heart and the surf washing the loose gravel off the berm. The half-moon slipped behind a bank of black clouds, and in the darkness, I tripped over the shovel, left lying on the gravel. I kicked it away. I went up the porch steps to the front door. I tried it. It was not locked. I stepped inside and listened. I called out, "Marianne!" The bedroom door was closed. I opened the door. I stabbed at the light wall switch. The ceiling flooded. An empty made-up bed. I went to the kitchen. Turned on the light. It was swept and tidy. The counter, the sink, the stovetop, bare and dry. Not a trace of food particles. No lingering cooking odors. The dish mop, dish towel, bone dry. I needed a drink to calm down. I reached for the bottle of bourbon in the kitchen cabinet. Poured myself a stiff one. Wondering where she was. The drink only added fuel to my slow burn. I flushed with waves of anger. I had to get out in the air to think. I put out the house lights, carried the bottle and the glass to the porch, and settled down to wait. The cool, onshore wind on my face. The moon playing hide and seek with the dark clouds. The lights of Connecticut blinking across 10 miles of black water. The old field light alternating beams of green and red. It was restful. But as I nursed the bourbon, I couldn't altogether get her out of my mind. My thoughts wandering back in time, wondering if she'd left me or would, once again like the first time, before we were married and were living together in my apartment on Manhattan's swingy east side. Two modern, sensible singles willing to give it a try. I had a job then. Good job. I was a vice president with electronics engineering. I got home that night. It was Friday night, about 8 o'clock. And as I let myself in...
Yes, dear.
I heard her talking on the phone.
Come on up, Jack. Oh, ask the doorman to hold a cab. He just got home.
Oh, who was that, Jack Harrison?
Of course. Who else?
You know, I'm getting tired of his hanging around. Why did you tell him to stop calling you?
He didn't. I called him. You look so surprised, Thomas. You don't have the time anymore for anything but dear old electronics engineering. You did phone me you wouldn't be home for dinner, so I called him. There's a movie I want to see.
That's the third time this week.
Oh, I didn't know you were counting, darling.
I waited that night watching television, dozing fitfully. My mind going back to the smiles and looks they had exchanged as they left. I could see them after the movies going to the Purple Camellia for nightcaps and the wild rock of the panting cougars, and then senses-stimulated bodies pulsating with savage beats to spend the night with him. I was awakened from my sleep in the chair by the buzzing TV set. It was 4 o'clock. I fought off the idea of phoning her at Harrison's apartment. I had no one but myself to blame. We had agreed, like two sensible moderns, that there'd be no strings, that we'd be free to live our own lives. And for the first time, I admitted to myself I didn't want that freedom. By 10 o'clock that morning, I couldn't stand it. I phoned Harrison's apartment. There was no answer. I went down to the lobby reception desk to get the mail. It hadn't arrived yet. But the clerk handed me an unstamped envelope. My name and apartment number on it, in Mary Ann's handwriting. I tore it open.
Dear Tom, I'm sorry. I think it would be best for both of us to call it quits. I'm going away.
There was no date on the plain white notepaper. No imprint of name and address, no forwarding address. Just signed, Mary Ann. I refused to believe it. I hurried right back up to the apartment, to her bedroom closet. Her clothes were gone. I got through the day somehow, in a daze. But the next day, when I went out to get the Sunday paper and returned to the apartment, there she was, unpacking.
I changed my mind.
Let's have a drink. Want to tell me?
There's not much to tell. He told me he has a wife, 3 children in Connecticut, that she won't let him go, so he couldn't marry me.
Marry you? You want to get married? Is that all? You wanted to get married? Will you marry me?
Yes.
Now, here I am, waiting once again. Like two sensible moderns, we adjusted to marriage. We seemed to be making a go of it. Until I lost my job and the cutbacks of government contracts. We subleased the apartment, moved to the cottage to make the rounds of electronic firms on Long Island. I sat there on the porch, waiting once again, looking up and down the beach. And suddenly I saw a flashlight about 100 yards down the beach. It moved around, but it did not advance. And then it went out. I listened. The crunch of footsteps on gravel, carried by the wind, grew louder. I could make out the silhouettes of a man and a fishing rod on his shoulder. He was alone, hugging the waterline. As he came abreast, I called out, any luck? It was Professor Mallory of the State University Marine Laboratory at nearby Flax Pond.
Oh, not a thing. I was hoping to pick up a striper. Line got snarled and the reel too tangled to bother with tonight.
Well, I'm just having a nightcap. Did you join me, Professor?
I could stand one short one. Getting a bit nippy.
We talked. He sipped his whiskey. I don't know how many I had. He talked about projects at the Marine Lab, the need for more state funds for research on wetlands, water pollution, erosion. He knew I was trying to get relocated, had given me a letter to an executive at the Grumman plant.
Hear anything from Grumman?
No, not a thing. I've about exhausted the job possibilities on Long Island. I spent yesterday and today in New England.
Well, thanks for the drink. I'm sure the job market will open up. Say hello to Mrs. Drake. Thanks again.
Dr. Mallory.
Yes?
Would you do me a favor?
Favor?
Well, you're a friend of Emery, Richard Emery. I know you know him. But are you a friend of his?
Well, he's one of several new young chaps doing postdoctorate work at the Marine Lab. It's a small group, and we're all more or less friendly.
I mean, will he listen to you as a friend?
Listen?
Yes. Tell him to stay away from my wife.
What? Emery? Your wife?
That's right. Don't ask me how I know. Little things, I know. I come home tonight. She's not home. I know.
Well, it's a rather personal matter. I don't feel I have the right to meddle in the personal affairs of a faculty member.
If he doesn't, I'll kill him.
Now, Drake, don't talk like that. Sensible people don't solve such problems like that.
That's what I always thought, but now...
Look, Drake, if you don't mind my giving you some advice, why don't you just get a divorce? Or separation?
You just tell Emery to stay away from her. You must tell her, Mallory. You must. I don't want to kill her, but I'm afraid. There'll be a breaking point. You tell him, Mallory, tell him. If you don't, you'll share the responsibility.
Now, Tom, you're overwrought. You'll feel better in the morning. All right, I'll talk to Emery.
Thanks.
Good night, Tom.
I picked up the bottle. It still had about one drink in it. I walked down to the waterline. I swallowed what was left in the bottle, and with swelling anger, I flung it into the waves. I turned back towards the cottage and stopped. I saw a flashlight down the beach. I could make out two persons walking towards me. And then the light was out, and silhouetted against the night sky, two forms embraced as one. And then, carried by the wind rising out of the northeast, I heard the teasing laughter of Marianne.
Well, there may be laughter in the wind, but for poor Tom, this is no time for levity. Wonder whether he knows that it's an ill wind and will blow him no good. I'll be back shortly with Act 2.
Baked in the morning, Kellogg's has that wholesome taste to get you up and grinning.
This is Jerry Coffer for Kellogg's Special K. You know, for years we've been talking about the Special K breakfast, a great way to start the day if you have a weight problem. You may have seen or heard our latest commercials, which symbolize the problem of being a few pounds overweight by using this ball and chain. That's the sound effect. But so many people have come to know the Special K breakfast that can help solve weight problems, they sometimes forget that Special K is America's favorite high-protein cereal. It has 8 essential vitamins and iron, and so delicious that lots of folks, kids as well as adults, eat Special K just for the sheer good taste of it. So we don't want you to think that you have to wear a ball and chain to eat Special K. All you need is an appreciation for the finer things of life, a 1-ounce bowl of Special K, 4 ounces of skim milk, tomato juice, coffee, and maybe a little sugar. The Special K breakfast can help you lose weight all by itself, but it really is a good start.
Who knows how to help you solve your shopping problems? The Better Business Bureau knows.
Wednesday, 10 o'clock. I'm back at the office working on the case when my secretary brings me the mail. Thanks, kid. The usual stuff. Then I see it. It's addressed to me, resident. Inside, a fake rabbit's foot. The pitch, a $2 donation or send back the rabbit's foot. My problem, what to do about it.
I'll help you with good advice from the Better Business Bureau.
Oh, yeah? Spill it.
If you receive unordered merchandise in the mail, you are under no obligation to return it or pay for it.
Thanks, pal. You're okay.
Just another consumer tip from your Better Business Bureau.
Now, what's a fella to do? Poor Tom Drake is in the dark and all at sea, wondering where he ought to be or not to be. But let's not blow the man down. Just lend me your ears, and we'll listen.
Their embrace in the dark was brief, and they started walking towards the cottage without using the flashlight. For a split second, I thought of walking towards them for a showdown. But Mallory's promise to talk to Emery made me put aside the impulse. I ducked behind a line of boulders that formed a breakwater above a high water line. They stopped in front of the cottage. From behind the boulders, I watched and listened.
That was a good hike.
Yeah. Let's go inside.
Oh, let's sit out here for a while. It's such a beautiful night. I'd like a cigarette. Okay.
He sat down beside her, struck a match, cupped it in his hands and held it to the cigarette in her lips. In the glow from the match flame, her face flushed, her eyes dreamy with desire. I knew I would never give her up.
I'm going out to Montauk next week. It's a long Monday holiday weekend. How about coming with me?
I'd love to, but I'll have to figure out some excuse to be away.
Figure out? Well, that shouldn't be any problem. You're pretty clever about such things.
I'll think of something.
I couldn't help thinking she was pretty clever about such things. Like the night she went with that very clever Harrison leading her on. I'd never forget that Friday night. And now, another Friday night.
Come on, let's go inside. You said he won't be back tonight.
Oh, relax, Richard.
You mean to tell me you prefer this cold gravel to a nice, comfortable couch? Come on, Marianne.
Oh, what's wrong with staying out here? Omar Khayyam was content with a jug of wine, a loaf of bread beneath a bough.
Not bad, not bad.
The laughter broke off suddenly. I saw the glowing tips of two flipped cigarettes. And then...
Kiss me, Richard.
Oh, I'm crazy about you.
Stop it! Stop it!
Tom!
What are you... Marianne, go inside. Go inside, I tell you.
Now, wait a minute.
Why? If you have anything to say, you can say it here in front of Richard.
Go inside.
Let go of my arm.
Now, listen, you leave her alone. Let go of her.
He broke my grip on her arm and pushed me away. His shove made me slip to my knee. I came up swinging at his face and missed. He pinned my arms from behind.
Now, listen. What's the matter with you? Are you crazy?
I broke out of his grip, stepped back from him, and fell across the shovel. I grabbed the handle, jumped up.
No!
And swung at Emery. Too late for me to stop the swing.
No!
As she rushed in between us, the sharp edge of the shovel hit her in the back of the head.
Oh
my God! I stood there, holding the shovel, unable to move, my eyes fixed on her face as Emery knelt down over her with the flashlight. I watched her face and prayed she wouldn't die. I trembled with fear and anguish, telling myself this couldn't be. It was a nightmare. Emery turned the flashlight on me, studied my trembling lips, my glazed eyes fixed on Marianne.
She's dead.
I heard him, but didn't answer. I couldn't take my eyes off her.
Drake, did you hear what I said? She's dead. You killed her. You better go in the house and call the police.
I looked at him, puzzled. My mind, my eyes, my memory playing tricks on me, wondering who he was. Harrison? Jack Harrison? Mocking me. The night he took her to the movie, telling me we'll be back.
What's the matter with you, Drake? Don't you hear me? Call the police. I'll tell them. I'll say it was an accident. She tried to steal. I don't think you've heard a word I said. I'll call the police myself.
Where are you going, Harrison?
Call the... Who's Harrison? I'm Emery, Richard Emery. Drake. I'll be right back.
Don't turn your back on me.
What?
He looked back as I swung the shovel, his mouth open, his eyes unbelieving. He went down. I hit him again. He was still, lying on his face. I staggered, gasping for air, my head pounding, thousands of pinpoints of light exploding inside my head. I sank down on the steps of the porch, holding my head in my hands, trying to clear my head, groping to recall, understand what had happened to me, to them. Slowly, the horror of it all returned. Marianne was dead. I turned the other body face up. It was not Harrison. It was Emery. I don't know how long I sat there on the porch steps. Finally, I faced it. I decided to try to get rid of the bodies, bury them temporarily in the gravel berm. I'd have to get a small boat, that rowboat, in the woods just above the flood water line stored by one of these summer residents. I'd row the bodies out to the channel, weight them, drop them overboard on an outgoing tide. The strong current on the bottom of the channel would move them out to the sea. The loose gravel was only about 3 feet deep. It would be deep enough to hide them. I dragged the bodies over, laid them end to end, covered them, building up the gravel mound to the same height of the berm that ran parallel to the water level. I inspected the shovel. The metal glistened clean, no sign of blood or hair. I stood it against the porch rail, went inside. I sprawled out on the bed, exhausted, and fell into a heavy, dreamless sleep. I woke up the next morning about an hour after sunrise. My mind clear, instantly aware of what had happened, what I had done. I jumped off the bed, went to the porch door, looked at the gravel graves on the burn. It looked natural, peaceful, like a cemetery. I knew what I had to do. I put on the coffee, showered, changed my clothes. Became aware that her clothes were still hanging in the closet. I got the old note she had left me on that weekend with Harrison. Read it over and over as I had my coffee on the kitchen counter. I turned on the radio for the weather.
The Bureau reports Hurricane Gilda moving past Cape Hatteras, leaving a devastating
I placed the note on the counter, carefully spilled a spoonful of coffee on the counter, wetting a large corner of the paper, and then blotted it with a paper towel. I knew I'd have to keep checking the weather. But first, get rid of her clothes. I put them in a large plastic garbage bag. I knew I'd have to stay close to the cottage until I got rid of the bodies. Lay in a supply of food, so I drove to the supermarket, put the clothes into the collection bin of the Salvation Army on the parking lot. I did my shopping and was back in less than an hour. I went up to where the rowboat was on the bank of trees. It looked all right. Aluminum, light enough to drag. The oars were in it, and burlap fish bags, strong enough to hold the rocks I'd use for weights. I'd have to wait until dark to move the bodies. In the meantime, I could move the boat. It was a couple of 100 yards. I place the boat on top of the grave. By nightfall, the Coast Guard was sending out small craft warnings, and all through the night, I was glued to the radio for weather checks, feeling trapped, helpless to do what I had planned. I finally fell asleep on the couch. I was awakened by the Sunday morning church music and a loud knocking on the porch door.
Joe! You in there?
I didn't recognize the voice. I hesitated. The knocking stopped. I heard him walk down the porch steps. I put on my shoes, went to the door. He was sitting on the edge of the transom of the boat, his back to me, smoking a cigarette, fishing pole across his knees. It was Mallory. He turned.
Didn't wake you, did I? I heard the radio. I thought I'd stop by. Feel all right?
Okay now, but yesterday, what a head. All day. How about some coffee?
Oh, thanks, but I've got to get back to the lab. I didn't know you had a boat.
Oh, it's not mine. Belongs to the Johnsons. I saw a couple of kids dragging it out of the patch of trees up there. They ran when I started towards them. Thought I'd better keep it here for them.
I guess it's safe enough here, unless we get that hurricane. I'd pull it up on higher ground if the weather gets worse and Gilda doesn't move out to sea. Well, I'm glad to see you feeling better.
Dr. Mallory, did you get a chance to talk to Emery?
No. Matter of fact, I haven't seen him. I stopped by his room Friday night after I left you. He wasn't in. I left a note to call me. I didn't hear from him all day Saturday. He wasn't in Saturday night. Not in his room this morning either. It's not like him to go off without a word.
I've been thinking over, Dr. Mallory. It's no use talking to Emery. I can't keep it tied to me. She's left me.
Oh, did she? I'm sorry. Perhaps for the best.
Well, she didn't get home Friday night and left me a note. I found it in the kitchen Saturday morning.
Is she leaving you for Emery?
She didn't say.
I see. Well, I'm sorry, Drake. I really am.
Sunday night, I was still trapped by the weather. It got worse through the night, but the weather report said there still was a 50-50 chance that the hurricane would bypass Long Island. About noon the next day, the wind died down. I stood there by the rowboat, wondering whether I should take the chance in broad daylight. Long Island Sound was still, calm as a lake. I heard a helicopter coming across Crane Neck. Routine patrol of the shore. I could read Suffolk Police. And then Dr. Mallory coming down the beach towards me. I stood there waiting for him.
Well, I'm glad I found you home, Drake.
I've just been answering more job ads.
Yeah, have you heard from Mrs. Drake? A letter, perhaps? A phone call?
Why, no, I haven't.
Well, I'm getting really concerned about Emery. No one at the lab has seen him or heard from him for 3 days. This morning, I looked through his room. His clothes, his suitcases were there. I can't understand. I was hoping if you'd heard from Mrs. Drake and knew where she was, I'd ask her if she had any idea about where Emery might be.
Well, I do have her mother's phone number in Ohio and her sister's in Connecticut.
If you don't mind.
Do you want to call from here?
Thanks, but I'm on my way to the village hall to see Police Chief Raymond.
I stood there watching him make his way along the beach to the village hall at the old field lighthouse, wondering just what he'd tell Chief Raymond.
Well, You know what they say. The path of gory murder leads but to the grave. What do you suppose will happen to Tom Drake? Will he be like that comedian who murdered people with stolen jokes and was hanged by his wits' end? I'll be back shortly with Act 3.
Hi, Ms. Goldilocks here. Professionally taste-testing diet drinks can be very difficult, but I've just had to bear with it. Then I found sugar-free Diet 7-Up. It doesn't taste like other diet drinks. It's fresh, light, natural, delicious. Sugar-free Diet 7-Up tastes so good that I've taste-tested it hundreds of times, and each time I've given it my seal of approval. Yes, this one's just right.
You've finally made your gift list. Your neighbor's child is 2, your niece is 6, and nephew is 7. But before you go to the toy store, there's something else you should do. Write Toys, Washington, D.C., 20207 for a free booklet on toy safety. That's Toys, Washington, D.C., 20207. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission.
Sometimes a gentle rain in one place adds up to a raging torrent in another. A torrent that can uproot lives as well as trees. To remedy the things that can be remedied in a disaster, America has a unique emergency force, the American Red Cross, America's good neighbor. Red Cross is on call 24 hours a day, every day, to cope with emergencies, whether they're on the next block or a continent away. Most of the help that's given is from volunteers. The money's from volunteers, too. Volunteers like you. If you need help, join us. If you can give help, join us. The American Red Cross. Help us help people. Just like you.
The lot of most policemen is not a happy one. Wonder how Police Chief Raymond will receive Professor Mallory. Will he use the right bait and make a haul, or lose hook, line, and sinker? Let's follow our troubled professor and find out.
What's this all about? Emma said to tell me it was urgent. Well, I mean, it's not a matter of life or death, is it?
I hope not.
Ooh, well, you sound like you're not so sure.
I'm not, but I am getting worried.
Somebody been stealing typewriters and lab equipment again?
No, Chief. Well, this may sound odd, but a member of the lab faculty seems to be missing.
Oh? That's what do you mean, missing?
No one's seen him since Friday afternoon.
Well, this is only Monday.
Yes, but he was not in his room Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. He didn't show up in the lab today.
Well, what about his weekends? Did he have them free?
Oh, sometimes, when scheduled. He was not scheduled to be off this weekend.
Uh-huh.
The chap he rooms with, Garrison, says he saw Emery Friday noon. Well, Garrison was off this past weekend. He got back Sunday night. I saw Garrison this morning. He wasn't surprised or upset over the fact that Emery hadn't spent the night in his room.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the first time. Do you know that cottage the Drakes rented?
Yes, I do. It belongs to Howard. Is that the one? What about it?
Well, last Friday night, I was out casting along the beach. On my way back to the lab, Drake invited me to stop for a nightcap on the porch. He'd already had quite a few. I had one drink with him, and he asked me, was I a friend of Emery's? And he asked me, the way he put it, would I do him a favor?
Mm-hmm. Go on.
What he wanted me to do was for me to tell Emery to stay away from his wife.
Now, did he explain that? Did he mean Emery was annoying his wife, or did he mean they were having an affair?
Well, my first impression was that it was more or less a dalliance.
Well, that's kind of par for the course in this university town, you know.
Yes, perhaps, but I told him I'd prefer not to get involved in personal affairs of faculty members.
And what'd he say?
He said if Emery didn't stay away, he'd kill him. His exact words.
Huh?
Of course, he was very drunk when he said it. I told Drake to calm him down, that I'd talked to Emery.
Yes, I see. Well, now, what about Mrs. Drake? Was there anything said to indicate whether she was inside the cottage while Drake was blowing his top this way to you?
No. There were no lights on inside. Matter of fact, Drake made it clear that she was not home. He implied, without mentioning Emery by name, that she was out somewhere with him.
Well, in that case, she could have some idea about where he might be.
That occurred to me. I went back there yesterday morning with that in mind.
And did she?
She wasn't there. Drake told me she'd left him. He said she didn't come home at all Friday night. He said he found a note from her in the kitchen Saturday morning.
Well, that's quite a coincidence, to say the least. Did the note say she'd gone away with Emery?
Well, Drake didn't show me the note, but as much as said there was no mention of Emery.
Have you been to the cottage since yesterday?
I stopped there on my way here. Drake says he hasn't heard a word from her. No mail, no phone call. But I asked him, would she perhaps have gone to her parents' home, to a relative? He gave me these phone numbers.
Oh, yes, let me see that. Ohio and Connecticut.
You think we ought to call them?
No. I'll drop in on Drake. I'd rather he made the call. You see, if we can't locate Mrs. Drake and you don't hear from Emery, that leaves us with 2 missing persons. We'll put out an all-points teletype alarm, full descriptions and photos. I'll keep you posted, Mallory. I'll come to the point, Drake. Mallory, Professor Mallory up at the Marine Lab, you know, came to see me. And he's a bit worried about the absence of a faculty member, one Richard Emery. There's no use being delicate about this, Drake. From what he told me, it does look like Emery and your wife ran off together, doesn't it?
Yes, it sure looks like it.
Do you mind if I see that note she left you?
Oh, no, not at all. It's on the kitchen counter where I found it. We went into the kitchen. He picked up the note, studied it carefully, looked at the back of the paper, felt the coffee stain.
When did you, discover this note?
Saturday morning. Well, that stain, some coffee spilled from my cup as I was reading it.
Oh, I see. You mind if I, look around?
Oh, go right ahead. I followed him into the bedroom. He looked through her dresser, the closet, the night table.
Well, her clothes are gone, all right. I was looking for a letter she might have received from a friend or relative, you know, inviting her for a visit for a few days or a week. I mean, did she mention such an invitation to you?
No.
Well, if she did get such a letter, she could have taken it with her. I mean, have you called her parents or her sister?
Well, frankly, no. I was hoping I wouldn't have to do that, when she'd come back, or write or phone.
Well, if they don't turn up in a week or two, we might perhaps go on the assumption that they're dead. You see? And start a search for their bodies.
You don't think... Well, look, Chief, I was drunk when I told Mallory...
No. I don't think you killed them. Of course not. What would you do with the bodies? Bury them out there? Let's not get morbid about this. You don't think I'm going to call out the tractors to scrape down the gravel, do you? Oh, by the way, how long are you planning to stay on here?
A couple of weeks.
All right, fine. Well, now keep in touch. I'll call you if anything develops. Phone me if you get a letter or a call from your wife.
I followed him out. He looked at the rowboat. Studied the sky.
You know, I'd pull that little boat up higher beyond that low ground back of the house. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some of Hurricane Gilda before night's over. Better keep the radio set on the Coast Guard reports.
I watched him go down the footpath across the low ground behind the cottage and then uphill to where his car was parked, top of the bluff. It was not till he was out of sight that I stopped sweating. It stayed calm, windless, an oppressive silence hanging over the water and the land. The sky was sunless, gray, not a cloud in sight. I'd heard of the calm before the storm, but I'd never seen it. I filled the kerosene lanterns, got candles ready.
Gale warnings, Cape May to Block Island. High tides 3 to 4 feet above normal with flooding along lowlands.
By late afternoon, all up and down the Sound, white caps galloped shoreward from as far as the eye could see. Treetops swayed and twisted in the whistling wind. The waves crashed higher on the shore. It started to rain hard. Windswept sheets of water lashed the roof and the shingled siding. The lights went off. I lit the lanterns and candles.
Winds 50 to 60 knots. Residents alerted to evacuate low-lying shore areas.
The door banged open, and the wind picked up the rowboat, sent it rolling side over side across the low ground behind the house. I stood with a lantern on the gravel berm, watching the waves inching closer, lapping the foot of the gravel mound, loosening gravel in the backwash. And then I heard the phone ringing. I went to it, picked it up, still watching through the open door, the waves breaking over the gravel. Hello?
Hello, Drake. This is Police Chief Raymond. What the hell are you still doing out there? Didn't you hear the evacuation alerts?
Oh, the phone fell out of my hand. I saw waves crashing over the grave and ran out.
Drake, you listen to me carefully. There's been a breach in the shore about a quarter mile down the beach. Get the hell out of there. You'll be cut off. You hear me? Are you there? Hello? Hello? I must have gone dead, that idiot. Well, better get going with the motorboat.
I knew I had to keep shoveling on the gravel and sand as fast as the waves washed it off. But for every shovelful I threw on the grave, the waves washed off too. I lost track of time. I knew I had to keep at it to keep the grave covered.
Head in close to the house, Mallory.
Yeah.
Drake! All right, let's go ashore. Nose it into the bank. You better bring your flag. All right. What the hell is he doing?
No! No! You can't come back! Never, Harrison! Never!
God of mercy. It's Emery. Well, I better get him over to the Riverhead Prison Hospital. Tide will be going out in a little while. Let's put this rope around the ankles and secure it to the porch. Mallory, you stay here till the county police and the coroner get here.
Chief, I'm at the morgue at Riverhead. Dr. Henderson of the police lab gave me an envelope to get to you. He said you wanted an analysis report in a hurry.
That's right. What's it say? Read it to me.
It says, the coffee stain is less than a week old. The ink is at least a year old.
Well, thanks, Mallory. By the way, do me a favor, will you? Leave a note to Highway Superintendent Murphy in the State Office building. And tell him I said, I won't be needing those tractors.
Well, imagine. What do you think of that police chief? Isn't he the fishy character? Anyhow, we didn't have to scrape bottom. I'll be back shortly.
Hello, this is Goldilocks. It seems like only yesterday that I was a little girl tasting porridge. You know, this one's too hot. This one's too cold. And now I conduct taste tests on diet drinks. And there's one I must tell you about. Sugar-free diet 7-Up. It has a fresh, natural, delicious taste. It drives my taste-o-meter crazy. Sugar-free diet 7-Up. This one's just right.
Answer on. I'm building a kite out of tissue paper, and it's beginning to rain. What do I need?
Umbrella or plastic kite.
Answer on. How many children are born with birth defects?
250,000 a year in the United States.
What's being done?
The March of Dimes supports research, medical service, and public education programs.
How can I help? Answer on.
Like me, the March of Dimes needs money for answers. Give to the March of Dimes.
Still in a dilemma? We hope you never have to face it. We can offer some advice, though. When you are uptight about any matter, nothing like settling down at your radio and letting the cares of the day slip away as your mind and ears carry you off on a relaxing journey of mystery adventure. Our cast included Ralph Bell, Patricia Wheel, Robert Dryden, and William Redfield. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
No, I want to know.
I'm afraid he had the head impaled on a pike and left to wither on the battlements. The body, of course, was interred.
Oh, my God.
Oh, nasty types they were in those days.
How old was she?
Oh, see, I think I remember. Oh, yes, 24.
Just my age. So young to die and be buried forever.
Oh, well, the legend is, of course, that she hasn't been.
You mean she haunts?
Oh, rather. She was quite a horsewoman, history tells us. And any night, but particularly when the moon is full, she rides the grounds, searching for her lost head.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by new sugar-free diet 7-Up. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
WDAF, Kansas City.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the fear you can hear. Welcome to the world of terrifying imagination. Our suspense-filled tale is about two ladies. One heedless, one, alas, headless. To meet them both, we shall have to span an ocean and several centuries. The story of both ladies comes from Rudley Castle in the Cotswold Hills of England. But the tale of the first lady belongs in this century, while the legend of the second comes riding to us out of the medieval past.
Charles! Charles!
What?
Charles, wake up. Can't you hear them?
There they are again.
What is it, Beth?
The hoofbeats. This time they're coming straight for the house.
Where are you going, Beth?
I've got to see.
It's the daylight. You can't see anything.
It's bright moonlight. Oh, God. She's right in the courtyard below. She's stopping.
You lost your mind.
She's throwing back the hood of her cage.
You come back to bed.
Oh, she has no head.
There's nothing out there.
Oh, no. Her head in her hand. She's holding it up by the hair. Charles, come quick, quick.
All right, I'm coming.
The face looks 1,000 years old. Oh, it's my face, Charles. Help me. It's me.
Our mystery drama, A Lady Never Loses Her Head, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Ian Martin and stars Kim Hunter. It is sponsored in part by the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal, and by new sugar-free Diet 7-Up. I'll be back shortly with Act 1.
Oh, somebody's been drinking my sugar-free Diet 7-Up, and it's all gone.
Oh, actually, I saved a little.
Oh, a bear!
Hiya, Goldie. What's brewing?
That's Miss Goldilocks to you.
Oh, come on, kid. You mean you don't remember me? The cottage, the 3 chairs, the porridge?
Baby bear!
In the fur. Been a long time, Goldie.
But Baby bear...
Just call me BB.
You drank all this sugar-free Diet 7-Up, and I have to conduct another diet drink taste test today.
Well, yeah, I saw the sign on the door, a professional taste tester, huh?
But how can I conduct my taste test now?
Why bother? I tried those other diet drinks, too. You'll notice there's still plenty of them around. Why not ask me?
Well, okay, BB. Tell me, why did you drink all the sugar-free Diet 7-Up?
I like the taste. Light, fresh, natural. Sugar-free Diet 7-Up is definitely unbearably delicious.
Mm-hmm.
The title of our tale is A Lady Never Loses Her Head. This has been an accepted dictum since the beginning of recorded history. But in the literal sense, in feudal times, a lady unfortunately could, and frequently did, lose her head. Thank heavens, of course, that is no longer possible. Or is it? Let's travel to London and start our narrative in the gloomy, gray atmosphere of Scotland Yard.
Excuse me, Inspector.
Yes, Carlos, what is it?
Young lady outside to see you. Most attractive. Blue-eyed, blonde hair. About 24. American, about 5...
Yes, I can do without the vital statistics. Does she have a name?
Yes, sir. Beth Stanton. Miss.
Beth Stanton. Stanton? My old friend Biff's daughter. Well, don't just stand there, man. Bring her in.
Right this way, Miss Stanton.
Thank you, Sergeant.
My dear girl, you are Biff Stanton's daughter, of course.
Of course.
Oh, how nice to meet you. Come in, come in. Dear me, this is a pleasure. Oh, do sit down.
Oh, thank you, Inspector Finchley.
Tell me, what are you doing in England?
Oh, first, before anything, following Dad's orders and coming to see you. Also, I brought you something from him.
Really?
I should have brought it earlier or sent it, but well, after he died, I was a mess. For so long, it had just been the two of us. It took me a year to paste myself back together again.
I wish I could have helped. At the very least, I should have come over for the funeral.
Oh, there was none. Dad wouldn't have wanted that.
I can imagine.
Anyway, he wanted you to have this.
Oh, no, I can't.
No, you have to.
Biff Stanton's wings. Any idea what they mean to an old fogey who went through the Battle of Britain shoulder to shoulder with him? I can tell you something, my dear. These mean more to me than the crown jewels.
You know, you're everything Dad said you'd be. Hello for real, Uncle Alfie.
After that, what can I do to make England yours?
Not a thing. It's already mine.
Oh, how so?
Well, it's mad, wild, out of sight. Here I was on the boat coming over, still fighting all the trauma of Dad's death, and suddenly I met this marvelous Englishman.
Well...
Only a little less marvelous than you turned out to be, of course. And just like that, I did a crazy thing.
What was that?
I married him. I'm not really Beth Stanton anymore. I'm Mrs. Charles Rudley.
Well, dear me. Congratulations.
I deserve them. I'm so lucky.
Well, I'd like to meet your husband. What's he like?
Too much. He's tall, black-haired, blue eyes, and just so Englishy English.
Well, now, will you live here or in America?
Oh, it has to be here because of Charles.
Ah, what's his line of work?
He doesn't have to work, actually, although he is a very fine artist.
Well, I envy this chap in more ways than one. Why doesn't he have to work?
Oh, well, because most of his time is spent in managing his estate. Oh, which reminds me, I've got to run. I'm off to the ancestral home in the Cotswolds to take up my position as Lady of the Manor.
Ah, Dorset, eh? Lovely country. Whereabouts?
Chauncey Castle. I expect you know it.
Well, I'm afraid I'm a bit shaky on Burke's peerage.
Oh, Charles isn't an earl or a duke, really. It's just his family line. I don't even know what his title is exactly.
Well, would you like me to find out?
No, in this day and age, what does it matter? Now, Uncle Alfie, I must go. Charles went on ahead of me with his sister. Nora insisted she had to have a day to get things ready, and I told Charles I needed a full day to shop for a sort of late trousseau. So he drove her up with most of my bags.
All right, my dear. I shan't keep you.
Give me a few weeks to get settled, and I promise you'll be our first house guest.
You only have to ask me. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. A very tasty young lady.
And a hasty one.
How's that, sir?
Marion Haste repented.
Beg pardon, Inspector?
Oh, nothing. Too many years a policeman, I suppose. One tends to fall into the habit of looking for trouble. Still, she is the daughter of the best friend I ever had, and she must be a very rich young woman. I say, Crothers, rustle me a copy of Burke's Peerage, will you? Something I'd like to have a look at.
So, milady, how do you like your castle?
Oh, Charles, it's something else.
It's what?
I mean, it's too much. It's magnificent. It's breathtaking, thrilling. There just aren't enough words. But it's sort of creepy, too.
Creepy?
Well, you know, everything's so old and so big.
Yes, and so very drafty.
I'm glad we won't be living here.
Well, we can if you want, my darling.
Oh, no, please, no. I feel like an exhibit. It's so comfortable at the gatehouse.
Yes, except for poor Nora. She is sort of underfoot.
Oh, come on. It's not that small. And I'm not going to put Nora out of her own home.
You're sure you don't mind, dear?
Are all these paintings legitimate ancestors?
Yes.
Charles?
What is it, Beth?
Who's that?
Ah, yes. I thought that one might pique your curiosity. That was the Lady Elizabeth Chauncey. Beyond question, the most attractive of all the family. Until now.
But she looks just like me.
A very pallid copy, my darling. Besides, she was very dark. Not like my fair and golden-haired American beauty.
Well, still, gee, imagine all those years ago, someone in your family who... Oh, when did she die?
Oh, somewhere in the middle 1500s. She died very young, as the story goes.
How?
Oh, accidentally. Darling, I think we ought to get back to the gatehouse. It's almost time for tea.
Do you have milk in your tea, Beth?
No, thanks.
Oh. Well, how did you like the castle?
Oh, it's great. I mean, it's terribly impressive and fascinating
and inexpressibly gloomy, damp, and musty.
Well, I didn't say that.
Oh, but it was what you were thinking.
Oh, no, you're marvelous. Yes, I thought all of those things. I just hope Charles doesn't want to live there.
Oh, heavens, dear, not a chance. You see all the rebuilding, refurbishing that's going on there?
Yes, I did. That's why I thought maybe...
Oh, not intended for private life, Beth. Strictly for the public.
Beg pardon?
Well, the only way of supporting these charming and historic white elephants is to open them to the public for a small fee, which mounts up.
Oh, what a shame. Your own home. Poor Charles.
Oh, he doesn't mind any more than I do. The place is much too big and full of cobwebs and ghosts. It gives me the shivers.
Ghosts? You mean real ones that actually haunt?
Well, if you want to believe in such things. Oh, the usual clanking of armor and dragging of chains. Except, of course, for the Lady Elizabeth.
The one whose portrait I saw today?
Oh, I'm not sure if I know you did. We've had a great many Elizabeths.
Well, the very young one. The one who looked like me.
Oh, that would be she. Yes, you do favor her.
You know, Charles was so funny about her. I mean, he didn't seem to want to talk about how she died.
Jolly right, I should think. Gruesome, silly story. Well, she was married to one of the first Earls of Chauncey. A man quite literally, believe it or not, old enough to be her grandparent. And so, quite naturally, she fell in love with one of the young bloods who traipsed around in the retinue.
Oh, what was his name?
Oh, heavens, dear, I haven't the foggiest. No one remembers him. At all events, sex being just as urgent in those days, if not quite so publicized, the two of them were caught cavorting in flagrante delicto, I think is the polite Latin phrase. And the elderly Earl was quite put out about it. So much so that he had the poor little thing beheaded.
Oh.
Violent times, you know, violent measures. Even that wasn't quite enough for him.
What do you mean? What else could he do to her?
Well, it gets a bit bloody, dear. Maybe we'd better just...
No, I want
to know. Well, I'm afraid he had the head impaled on a pike and left to wither on the battlements. The body, of course, was interred.
Oh, my God.
Oh, nasty types they were in those days.
How old was she?
Oh, see, I think I remember. Oh, yes, 24.
Just my age. So young to die and be buried forever.
Oh. Well, the legend is, of course, that she hasn't been. Our parlor legend.
You mean she haunts?
Oh, rather. She was quite a horsewoman, history tells us. And any night, but particularly when the moon is full, she rides the grounds, searching for her lost head. She's quite famous locally. I must admit, when the wind's from the west, I sometimes swear myself I can hear the hoofbeats.
Poor Elizabeth. Poor... No. What's that? Charles, wake up.
What is it, Dolly?
Do you hear them?
What?
Somebody riding a horse.
It's 2:30 in the morning.
But can't you hear them? You don't suppose Elizabeth...
Oh, that stupid legend. I'm really quite furious at Nora.
Oh, no, don't be, please. I expect I'm the stupid one. It's all so new to me. I'll settle down.
Let me assist in that process.
Darling. I don't hear the hoofbeats anymore.
You never did. Just the excited beating of your husband's heart.
Oh, I love you.
And I love you. You're so lovely. I can't wait to paint you.
I'll sit for you.
Do you know what I'd like to do tomorrow?
What?
Make a life mask of you.
Oh, how do you do that?
You'll see. Tomorrow. You'll see.
Charles really has something more sinister than history lurking in the dark corners of Chauncey Castle. And what, if one examines it, is a life mask? A mold of the features, once done in plaster of Paris, today in modern plastic, a technique often employed to perpetuate someone departed from this life and originally named the death mask. I'll be back shortly with Act 2.
Ever had a tall, frosty glass of Amplitude? Well, if your beer is Budweiser, you've had it often. Amplitude is a fancy word for the entire taste phenomenon, the total experience of flavor. Next Time you take a healthy swallow of Bud, watch what happens. Think about the sensations you're experiencing. Notice how the flavor of Bud comes on nice and easy. Not too strong, not too quick, just right. Notice the clean, crisp togetherness of Bud's taste. Everything in perfect balance, with no single element jumping out at you. And there'll be no aftertaste either, no hanging on. And you'll be refreshed and ready for another glassful. Actually, Bud drinkers have been experiencing amplitude for years, but they never phrase it that way. They just say Budweiser, and that says it all. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
Hey, Mom, what's for dinner? Hey, Mom, what you got?
It's time to get ready for the great outdoors, and your ShopRite supermarket has everything you'll need for cookout dinners and fun in the sun. And for this week's dinners, ShopRite is featuring whole grade A frying chickens just 37 cents a pound. Roasting chickens up to 4 pounds, 47 cents a pound. Choice beef rib steaks $1.19 a pound. ShopRite Franks 89 cents a pound. Get all your outdoor cooking equipment and many great food values at your ShopRite supermarket.
She loves the family. She wants the best. She does all that she can do. She lets ShopRite do the rest. Hey, Ma, what's for dinner? ShopRite has the answer.
Have you ever had a mask made of your face? It's a quite terrifying experience. The material is laid on like shaving soap or a mud bath, and you lie there while it hardens and sets. In the last moments, there is an excess of heat and a feeling as if you will be buried forever in concrete or stone. You can breathe, but the shut-in feeling, the claustrophobia, suggests you can't. That maybe whoever it is making the mask wants to kill you, smother you, like Beth, wordless, speechless, helpless at this moment.
Hand me the straws, Nora.
Here you are. Oh, what a really dreadful thing to do to the child.
Now, don't try to talk, dearest. The plastic is just beginning to set. It won't be much longer. I'm going to have to cover your mouth now, so I'll put these straws in your nose, and you'll be able to breathe. Now, the thing is not to get panicky.
Oh, the whole thing is perfectly barbarous.
Shut up, Nora. There's not a thing in the world to worry about, Beth. It just sort of draws, and there's a feeling that it's clamping down. But it's soon over. Trust me, darling. Please don't worry about a thing.
I thought I was going to die.
I've got the most beautiful mold of your face. You'll see it was worth it.
Oh, honestly, darling, I was scared. I'm like Elizabeth. I'm much too young to die.
Will you forget her?
Yeah, I'd like to, but she haunts me. I never ever thought about death before, and now suddenly... Darling, have you made a will?
Good Lord, Beth. You are morbid. No, since you ask.
Well, you should. Well, everyone should.
Well, I expect you're quite right. I'm rather careless about money matters. I'll take care of it first thing in the morning.
May I come with you?
Why, if you want. But...
I want to make one too, Charles. It's really quite important.
Well, my dear, if you insist.
See, I never told you, Charles, but I'm really worth an awful lot of money.
Carlos.
Yes, Inspector.
Remember that chap in Margate we had to look into because he kept getting rid of well-to-do wives at quite a clip?
That'd be Humbert, sir.
Yes.
Tall, dark chap with a thick beard. Made a joke about Bluebeard.
Oh, did I? Have we a photo of him handy?
Well, I think I could dig one up.
Why don't you? And, by the by, next weekend's Halloween. I think I might leave crime to the small fry and take a busman's holiday.
Oh, you deserve it, sir. Where away?
Well, I might take a run up to the Cotswolds. Sort of a sentimental journey, you might say.
Morning, Beth. Special today, kippers.
Oh, no, thank you. Not for me.
Oh, out of sorts, dear?
I haven't... I didn't sleep so well. Just a little orange juice and coffee.
Oh, absolutely. Well, anything wrong?
Oh, no, not really. You know, I guess maybe I ought to look out for those toddies of yours.
Why, Beth, nothing but a little Scotch, sugar, and lemon.
I didn't mean I suspected the ingredients. It's just that maybe I can't handle quite so much whiskey.
Oh, there was only a nip in there. Child, you do look a little wan. Should we have Dr. Yule in to have a glance at you, do you think?
Oh, I can't need a doctor. I'm always so healthy.
Oh, change of clime and all that, dear, and damp old England. Flu is always floating around. Why don't we just play safe?
What do you think, Doctor?
Oh, well, nothing serious, of course, but a high-strung young lady, you know.
Well, sensitive, naturally, but high-strung.
Well, you know Americans very suggestible. What is this notion she has about somebody on horseback without a head?
I beg your pardon?
Some legend about a girl who looked like her centuries ago.
I haven't the foggiest idea.
Yeah. Well, for the moment, there's no real concern. I've left a sedative to be filled at the pharmacist with your sister. Convenient thing she happens to be an RN.
You're sure you're up to this, Beth?
Oh, Charles, I simply had to get out of doors and away from the cottage. Let's just enjoy a walk into the castle and pretend it's all the beginning.
Well, now, just stay well in the center of the drawbridge. Needs a lot of repairs.
You know, it's just incredible to think that knights in armor rode across this bridge. How far do you suppose it's down to the bottom of the old moat?
50, 60 feet, perhaps. A mess, isn't it? All those weeds and jagged rocks.
Can we go in and poke about?
Your wish is my command. Beth?
Right here.
Where on earth have you got to?
Like a magnet. Right back to her.
The Lady Elizabeth.
She fascinates me so.
Well, there really isn't all that much resemblance.
Oh, I don't agree. She could be my twin. It's funny.
What's funny?
Well, it's so hard to put into words, Charles. It's just a feeling. I mean, her portrait is just as old, and the paint is just as cracked as all the others, but somehow she feels so immediate, so today. Almost as if she just sat for the portrait, and the artist had just finished it.
That is rather strange. You can see that the pigments are medieval. The patina is centuries old, just like the model.
I know. I should stop identifying myself with her just because of a chance resemblance. Oh, Charles, I'm cold. Let's get back to the gatehouse and that nice living room fire.
Oh, you do look a bit knocked about, Beth. Perhaps you ought to turn in a little early.
I guess so.
On top of everything else, I do think our damp weather does take a bit of getting used to. I have the kettle on the boil to whip you up a nice stout toddy.
Oh, I don't want anything to drink.
Oh, just a bit, love, to disguise the taste of old Dr. Yule's sedative. Why he has to stick to powders instead of up-to-date pills is beyond me.
Well, while you're brewing that toddy, I have some letters to finish.
Letters?
Oh, I've been very remiss. I have all sorts of friends and half-relations in America who don't even know I'm married. I've got to write them.
Oh, of course. You go and get them finished. And I'll brew you up something nice to put you to sleep.
There you are, darling. Nora's best. Plus Dr. Yule's guaranteed potion for a restful night.
Thanks, Charles. Oh, I'm sorry to be such a bother.
Hush. Get all your letters finished?
Yes. I must mail them first thing tomorrow.
Let me have them, darling. I have to run into the village to pick up the post. I'll send them off then.
Okay.
And by the by, I hate to bother you with this, but as long as you have pen in hand, well, look this over and sign it.
What is it?
That last will and testament that you insisted on making. Technically, I suppose I should have John and Nellie witness your signing, but I'm sure they'll take the will for the deed, if you'll excuse a complicated pun. Sign it later.
Oh, yes, let's get it out of the way. I have enough morbid thoughts as it is.
What morbid thoughts?
There. I hope to God it never has to be executed.
Amen. Now drink your toddy, and it will relax you. All you need is a good night's sleep.
I'd give anything for that. If I could just stop dreaming about her, or hearing those hoofbeats. Charles.
What, dear?
You don't think I'm going crazy, losing my mind?
Oh, now, come on. Drink up, and I'll hold you tight till you go to sleep.
It's strong. But it does feel good. Charles, you're so good to me. How can I ever repay you?
You will, darling. You will.
Charles. Charles.
What?
Charles, wake up. Can't you hear them? There they are again.
What is it, Beth?
Hoofbeats. This time they're coming straight for the house.
Where are you going, Beth?
I've got to see.
It's dead of night. You can't see anything.
It's bright moonlight out. Oh, God. She's right in the courtyard below.
Stop it, Beth.
She's throwing back the hood of the cage.
Will you come back her head?
She has no head.
There's nothing out there.
Oh, no. Her head. In her hand. She's holding it up by the hair. Charles, come, quick.
All right.
It looks 1,000 years old. Oh, but it's my face. Charles, help me. It's me.
More and more, the question narrows itself down to a very simple one. Which lady has lost her head completely? Elizabeth from the past, who will not stay at rest? Or Beth from the present, who seems bound to raise her from the grave? I'll be back with at least some of the answers when I return shortly with Act 3.
And now another story of the ball and chain, as Kellogg's Special K presents Veronica and Jack.
Oh, Jeffrey, isn't this romantic? Out in a quiet lake at night with you rowing the boat.
Yes, Veronica, it's really neat.
Jeffrey, what was that?
Frogs.
Frogs that go bonk?
They're pretty weird frogs.
Oh, Jeffrey, you're such a card. You have a ball and chain, like the ones they use in those Special K commercials.
Yes, Veronica. It symbolizes my few pounds of extra weight. But I'm going to get rid of it.
How?
By exercising. You know, like rowing this boat and eating smart at every meal, starting with a Special K breakfast.
You mean a 1-ounce bowl of high-protein Special K, 4 ounces of skim milk, orange juice, and coffee?
Precisely. It's less than 240 calories, and it tastes delicious. It'll help me get rid of this ball and chain.
I'll help too, Jeff. After all, we're all in the same boat.
You have a ball and chain, too.
Your happy ending could begin with the Special K breakfast from Kellogg's.
This year, Italy gives you the one thing every vacationer wants for his money. More. In fact, your dollar buys more in Italy than in 85% of the tourist countries of Europe. Take restaurants. There's one in Rome called Ambasciata d'Abruzzo. Without asking you, the waiter brings a whole ham, 24 kinds of sausage, a huge antipasto, and 3 courses of pasta. When you've consumed all this, the waiter finally asks, "What would you like to eat?" You order the meat platter and get 6 kinds of roasts. After a salad, cheese, fruit, and cake, the waiter now asks, "How much would you like to pay?" You agree to $5 a person. And how do you get to this feast? On Alitalia. No other airline flies only 747s nonstop from New York to Italy. Call an expert, your travel agent, or Alitalia, and come to Alitalia's Italy, where you get more than you dreamed of for less than you thought.
Based on exchange rates as of April 1st, 1974. North Jersey is certainly getting a higher yield this spring, especially with Suburban Savings' special high-yield savings certificate that you can raise for fun and profit. All you have to do is plant a modest $2,500 minimum in Suburban's limited-issue 7.50% savings certificate. Then put your certificate in a nice, safe place. Suburban takes care of the rest by compounding interest continuously from day of deposit, paid quarterly. You'll get a nice, healthy 7.90% effective annual yield on your 7.50 savings certificate when you let it grow from 4 to 10 years. Early withdrawal prior to maturity is, of course, subject to a substantial penalty. So for a nice, healthy 7.90% annual effective yield, grow Suburban 7.50% savings certificate for fun and profit at any Suburban saving office in Bayonne, Edgewater, Elmwood Park, Emerson, Hackettstown, Morris Plains, Nutley, Paramus, and Sparta.
So, back once again to the problem of our twin damsels in distress. The medieval one has vanished into thin air by now, if indeed she ever materialized from there, while our modern Beth has confounded us and her husband by doing something quite medieval, or at least old-fashioned.
Beth?
Mm-hmm.
Beth?
Oh, yeah.
Beth, it's Charles. Wake up.
What? Charles? Oh, what happened to me? What happened to her? Charles.
Now, darling, listen to me. There was nobody there.
Oh, but I saw her sitting side saddle on the horse, and when she dropped the hood...
Beth, it was a dream.
She had no head at all, except in her hand.
You've got to stop it, Beth.
She was holding it by the hair, and the face was all wrinkled like a mummy.
Beth,
And it was my face, just like me. And do you know what she was doing? Do you know what she was doing?
Beth, you've got to stop this. I can't...
She was beckoning to me, Charles, calling me down. She wanted me. She wanted my head.
Stop it, Beth. Stop it, Beth. Beth.
Do you know the awful thing? I could feel myself being tugged, pulled toward her. If I hadn't fainted, Oh, God, Charles, what's the matter with me? What's wrong? What's that?
Beth, get hold of yourself. It must be Nora. Yes?
Charles, has something happened?
Come in, Nora. The door's open.
Oh, bless us. What's the matter with the child?
She just had a bad dream.
It wasn't a dream.
Oh, the headless Elizabeth again?
Yes, she thought she heard her ride into the court below the window.
I did see her.
Oh, let me take the child, Charles.
No. Get her sedative powder. We've got to calm her down.
I don't want any medicine.
Just let us take care of you, Beth. We know what we're doing.
Well, I think we've got her under control now.
I'm so sorry to rout you out so early in the morning, particularly on All Hallows Day.
Oh, that's quite all right, Mr. Rudley, quite all right. You'd never have gotten her calmed down without a shot from me.
Oh, silly children and their Halloween pranks. I can't imagine how they got this far out of the village.
Did you see this apparition that scared Mrs. Rudley so?
Oh, good Lord, no. By the time I got to the window, the yard was bare. How the young'uns could have disappeared so far?
Oh, I don't think this was any childish prank.
What?
No, it's something much more serious, I'm afraid.
You don't mean sleepwalking?
Oh, dear me, that too. I see. Now, you say she lost her father recently.
Yes, a year ago.
And they were very close.
Yes, extraordinarily so, I would say. What is it, Doctor? You don't think...
I'll tell you what I do think, Mr. Rudley, and I'm going to be very honest. This case, your wife's problem, is far beyond a country doctor like myself. I think she needs psychiatric help.
Oh, no.
For her own sake. If it weren't for the fact that your sister is a registered nurse, my recommendation would be to have her immediately hospitalized. Psychiatric diagnosis is still my recommendation. I believe it's vital to keep her from harming herself.
Harming herself? How?
Oh, I don't know that. But I do know that for whatever reason she is, well, in layman's terms, a nervous wreck. Hypertense, in spite of all the sedation I've been giving her. Subject to delusions and the victim of a death wish. You must get help very quickly. Help from a specialist. And she should not be left alone for a moment.
Well, that's quite a blow.
I'm sorry, but even suicide is not out of the question.
Good Lord. I wonder, could I talk to her now?
Well, she may be a bit drowsy, but if she's not asleep, yes. Now, I'd like to suggest some doctors...
Doctor, I want you to. I have to go into the village to pick up the post. Would you mind dropping me? We can talk on the way.
Splendid.
I'll only be a minute. I want to go back to Beth. Meet you at your car.
Oh, it's you, Charles.
Is she asleep?
No, I'm awake. Charles?
Yes, darling.
Don't leave me. Stay with me. Don't leave me.
Of course I won't leave you. You can't get rid of me.
I've been very silly, haven't I? I can't quite remember.
There's nothing to remember. What you need's a nice long sleep. And while you're having it, I'm going to the village for a few minutes, get the post, and a few things we need for dinner.
And the post? Mail. Oh, yes, don't forget to mail my letters.
I should say not. Have them right here in my pocket.
You won't be long.
No, not over an hour. And Nora will be right here with you every moment I'm gone.
Beth, dear, don't you worry. Charles and I know just how to take care of you. Yes?
Oh, how do you do? Are Mr. and Mrs. Rudley at home?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Mr. Rudley's off to the village, and I'm afraid Mrs. Rudley is indisposed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Not serious, I hope?
Oh, no, just a little bout with the flu. May I say who was calling?
Oh, yes, of course. Alfred Finchley.
Oh, well, are you a friend of Mrs. Rudley's?
No, not really. Old army chum of her father's.
Oh.
Just happened to be driving by, and I'd heard she'd been married, and I wanted to, well, you know, pay my respects.
Oh, well, I know Beth will be so sorry not to have seen you. I'm her sister-in-law, by the way.
How'd you do?
Perhaps later this afternoon, if there was some place she could call you.
Oh, no. I'm driving back to London.
Well, that's the lot, Mr. Rudley. You owe me tuppence on the one overweight letter.
There you are, Mr. Morgan.
Anything to go out, sir?
No letters this time.
I thought I saw some in your pocket.
No, these are not going to be posted. I'll take care of those myself.
As you will, sir. It's just opening time. Want to step in the pub and have a nice warming beer?
Not this time, Mr. Morgan. Got quite a long walk home. That'll be on my way if I hope to make it by lunch. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Hey, that's it. 11's. All open for business. Not one ruddy customer. Oh, afternoon, Governor. Just 10 minutes before 2, so if you want one, better step lively into the bar before closing time.
Thank you, Barkeep. I think I will.
Name is Margate, sir. Donald Margate, proprietor. And what'll it be?
Well, I think I shall have a gin and, if you don't mind.
Yep. Coming right up. Just passing through.
Yes. Lovely country.
Oh, we like it.
Quite a bit of work going on at Chauncey Castle.
There's the gin and, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, yes. Going to be good for business.
Oh, so?
Going to open it to the public, the family is. Make a tourist attraction.
Well, I thought it was because the present incumbent had got married.
Present incumbent? Oh, you mean the doddery old Duke?
Oh, no. I meant young Mr. Rudley.
Oh, him? Why, Lord bless your soul, he's not family, sir.
Oh, really?
No, he's just renting. Lease is almost up, I think.
Rudley, I think I once knew. What's he look like?
You should have been here when I opened. You could have seen for yourself. Tall, dark chap he is.
Yes. He wouldn't by any chance be this chap in this picture, huh?
Well, now, that'd be hard to tell. I mean, Mr. Rudley's clean-shaven and a lot thinner than this chap. Still, take away the beard, cut off some of the hair. No, I just wouldn't know.
Do you have a doctor in town?
Oh, yes, sir, that'd be Dr. Udall. You'd find him right across the green, sir. Good timing, too, because I have to close.
Timing couldn't be worse, Nora. She never mentioned she knew anyone in England.
Oh, I don't think we have to worry. He was just a little wisp of a man, very inoffensive.
You doctor her food at lunch. Get another of your special toddies into her before she goes to bed. We'll do it tonight.
Well, it seems a bit soon. A lot faster than usual. But if you insist, darling, naturally we'll go ahead. Kiss me.
Yes, sister, dear.
Well, at least she is the last one. She has enough money to leave you. So I can stop sharing you with the pigeons.
Inspector Finchley, Scotland Yard, Doctor. My credentials.
Oh, dear me, a policeman, but why on earth?
Could you answer my question?
Well, of course. Yes, I've called on her several times in the last 10 days or so.
What's the matter with her, Doctor?
Well, that's rather difficult to say. She has delusions.
Caused by what?
Oh, now, Inspector, that would take a psychiatrist to explain.
She couldn't be under the influence of drugs, could she?
Why,
does this man look at all familiar to you, Dr. Ewell?
No, I can't say. Just a minute. Let me get my magnifying glass. Now, where did I... Oh, yes, here it is. Yes. Oh, yes, by George. Partly the facial structure, of course, but this is what did it. You see that old scar there bisecting the left eyebrow, more or less?
Yes.
Something a doctor would notice because it wasn't a very good job of suturing. Yes, I think I could swear. Shave off the mustache, the beard, and the sideburns. And by George, you'd have Charles Rudley.
Or George Humbert.
Thank God for the help of Elizabeth's phantom steed. I thought we'd never get her downstairs. You wouldn't think she'd be so heavy.
Wait, brother dear.
Not quite yet. Poor Beth. A pity.
No time for sentiment. She's worth a lot more to us, dead.
Now help me get her off the horse and then get him back to the stable and call the doctor.
After you throw her over into the moat, you'd better make very sure she's...
I'll make sure. All right. I'll get her off the horse.
Stand still, Rudley. Just hold it right there.
What?
I've got you covered. This is the police. Don't move.
Oh, you fool. Well, they're not going to get me.
It's too late.
Get out of my way.
Watch it. Don't shoot after the horse. We don't want to harm the girl.
I just can't believe it, Uncle Alfie.
Well, I can't blame you, my dear. Nasty chap you got mixed up with. 3 others before you he got away with.
The same way?
With variations. He got a little too fancy on this one. The false portrait, but the apparent nervous ailments and the sleepwalking were the key to all of them.
I feel as though I'm going to be sick.
A little pass, dear. He was a bad lot. Worth not one single tear.
And Nora, she was the one on horseback?
With the costume rigged to appear as if the wearer was headless, and a papier-mâché head made from your knife mask.
I think she's almost worse than him. And to think she got away scot-free.
Not quite, my dear. We'll catch up with her. Now, you rest a while and don't worry. I'm right outside. As long as I'm around, you'll never have to worry again. Good night.
Good night, Uncle Alfie.
All right, Doctor?
Oh, yes, she'll be fine. You say you did catch up with the woman?
Nora. A lot more than just police caught up with her. You know the work they're doing on the castle?
What's it called?
Well, apparently they found some structural weakness in the arch of the main gate. So they supported it by stretching a thin steel cable from one side to the other. Well over normal head height, of course, if you're walking. But unfortunately not high enough to clear someone on horseback.
Good Lord, no.
Oh, yes. Cut her head off as clean as a whistle.
Charles Rudley was eventually convicted of murder of one of his earlier wives. He was sentenced to life imprisonment. His common law wife, Nora, lost her life and, of course, her head. It's nice to consider that, in her case at least, the punishment fit the crime. I'll be back shortly.
Well, good evening, Mystery Theater fans. This is Gene Shepard, and we're sitting here having a very friendly roundtable discussion with many of our listeners who gather nightly here at the 710 spot on the dial. And if you'd like to join our little evening gatherings, I'm on every night at, let's see, it's 9:15 now. 9:15. You write that down and make sure that you bring all the things you need to be prepared for a fantastic evening. I'm on every night from 9:15 until 10. Join our little group some night. We sit around and discuss the world and enjoy life and walk around in the weeds and just be people. 9:15 on WOR.
From the WR Newsroom, the winner of the 100th running of the Kentucky Derby, Cannonade. Details upcoming in the news at 6 with Roger Skibinis.
An invitation. This is Peter Roberts. Join us Sunday morning, 8:15 to 10 here on WOR for Rambling with Roberts. 2 hours of music, specially selected for Sunday morning listening pleasure, along with, bits of weather information, news headlines, bits of trivia, such as the fact that a man from Onowa, Iowa, received a patent for what he called Eskimo pie, which was ice cream coated with chocolate. It all happened in 1922. It may not seem like very much in the way of history, but it does take place, these little bits of trivia and information, on Rambling with Roberts. So, of a Sunday morning, make a note. 8:15 to 10, right here at 710 on your dial, come Rambling with Roberts. You don't have to give us an RSVP, just be on hand. Thank you.
Uncle Alfie proved to be right about the resiliency of youth. It took a couple of years, but eventually Beth settled down and is happily married to a psychiatrist in Duluth. As for this fable itself, it also goes to prove that time not only heals all wounds, but eventually wounds all heals. Our cast included Kim Hunter, Nick Pryor, Bryna Rayburn, Ian Martin, and Court Benson. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. And now, a preview of our next tale.
This is a voodoo doll. All of him is made with things that once belonged to Trujillo. There's one last thing I needed to make the spell work. The weapon. Now at last I have in my hand the instrument of destruction. I straighten out the circle, turn the head to the sky, and death, the tail towards the ground, and strike! What have I done, Mr. Ramsey?
You drove the bracelet like a knife straight through the doll's head.
From temple to temple. Hernando Trujillo will be dead by midnight. And we will all be free.
Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
The WOR Mystery Theater has been brought to you by ShopRite Supermarkets, where you get a lot more for a little less, and by Suburban Savings, with offices throughout North New Jersey. The preceding Mystery Theater program is furnished by the CBS Radio Network.
5 o'clock, time for the news on the hour from the WOR newsroom. This is Roger Skibinis reporting. Under sunny skies, 60 degrees now in Midtown Manhattan. Clear and cool tonight with a low 40 to 45 degrees. And it's going to be sunny and cool tomorrow with the high near 60. Fair, not as cool tomorrow night. More on the weather later on. Some $20 million in art treasures were recovered today in Ireland. Police in Dublin say the masterpieces stolen a week ago in what has been described as the biggest art robbery in history were found in West Cork. A woman is now being questioned. Yesterday, there was a ransom demand for $1.2 million. Also, the note sent to police insisted that 4 persons imprisoned in New England be transferred to Irish jails. The owner of the painting, Sir Alfred Beat, refused to pay any ransom, and the British refused to transfer the prisoners. The paintings, all of them, all $20 million worth, were described as not being harmed. Ron Ziegler, President Nixon's news secretary, today accused those the Watergate transcripts and believe former White House counsel John Dean over President Nixon as being partisan. Ziegler, speaking to newsmen in Spokane, said the transcribed Watergate tapes show numerous and serious contradictions in the testimony of John Dean. 2 Republicans on the Senate Watergate Committee, Howard Baker of Tennessee and Lowell Weicker of Connecticut, have made the comment that the transcripts seem to support Dean's testimony before the Senate panel. The President is in Spokane, Washington this afternoon for the opening of Expo 74. It follows on the heels of a public appearance in Phoenix, Arizona last night, where he addressed a Republican rally and said it's time to move beyond Watergate and get on with the business of America. Seattle police have in their custody this afternoon a 21-year-old soldier from Fort Lewis, Washington. He was picked up with 2 weapons and a hefty supply of ammunition. He's accused of threatening the president's life. From Washington this afternoon comes word that the president has decided not to reduce the 10-year sentence against Lieutenant William Calley, charged with the killing of civilians during the massacre at My Lai in South Vietnam. Calley, presently out of jail on bond, would be eligible for parole after an additional 6 months confinement. Here in New York, a 15-year-old is presently undergoing surgery for a bullet wound in the thigh. An unidentified woman was treated for a gunshot wound and discharged from Morrisania Hospital in the Bronx. The injuries occurred when transit police on a stakeout apparently intervened during an attempted holdup of a change booth at the 167th Grand Concourse station of the IND. According to police, the youth drew a gun, pointed it at an officer. The transit cop then fired 5 shots. It was later determined that the pistol pointed at the officer was a toy gun. It's believed that the 3 youths were involved. 1 apparently got away. Another is being questioned at the 44th Precinct in the Bronx. A citywide search is on at this hour by police in an effort to recapture 2 men who managed to escape from the Brooklyn House of Detention last night. The 2 are 26-year-old George Harper of 1463 Pacific Street in Brooklyn and 42-year-old Stephen Fraser of 132-05 155th Street in Queens. Harper is charged with murder. Fraser is accused of assault and kidnapping. Both men are considered dangerous. 2 other inmates attempted to break out with Fraser and Harper, but were captured almost immediately. Before the weather, this word. What's so special about tomorrow's New York Times? Well, for one thing, the Sunday Times Book Review features a special 36-page section entirely about children's books. And besides this feature, which includes reviews of nearly 100 children's books, the travel section of tomorrow's New York Times is also special, because tomorrow it previews summer vacations. You'll get some great ideas on where to go this summer and how much it will cost. Even if you're staying home, you'll find excellent reading in the Sunday Times travel section, including a fascinating story of a man and his dog who sailed the dangerous route completely around Long Island, and in a 12-foot sailboat. Also in tomorrow's New York Times, colorful coverage of the Kentucky Derby, a first-hand report on what life is like in Israel today, and helpful tips on how to get rid of plant diseases as well as weeds in your lawn. So be sure you get your copy of tomorrow's New York Times. And for information on home delivery of the Times, just call MU7-0700. That's area code 212, then dial MU7-0700. The New York Times. The WOR Weather Watch update, clear and cool tonight with a low 40 to 45 degrees. Tomorrow sunny and cool, the high tomorrow near 60 degrees. And tomorrow night the low near 50. Monday increasing cloudiness with a chance of showers. Right now 60 degrees under sunny skies in Midtown Manhattan.
And that's the news at 5 from the WOR newsroom. Roger Skibanus reporting. For news as it happens, keep tuned to WOR New York, the talk of New York.
Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Welcome to the world of terrifying imagination. To the fear you can hear. Tonight, I hope you have strong stomachs. For we're bound on a Caribbean cruise. Oh, we don't expect rough sailing on the way. So if you are easily seasick, have no fears. Save them all for your landing on the twin island of Mauritia and Sandorin. For it is the home of voodoo and the living, the soulless legions of men who are called zombies.
That's it, compadres. That's the coffin we seek. Scrap away the earth so we can get the lid open. Soon we can steal another corpse for the witch doctor. That's it. Now break open the lid. Swing it back. Muy bueno. Shine the light. Oh, must have been strong as an ox. He'll make a fine zombie brother for El Generalissimo's elite guard. Está bien, Señor Ogan. Here is another carcass for your living dead.
Our mystery drama, The Walking Corpse, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by Ian Martin and stars Tony Roberts. It is sponsored in part by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated, brewers of Budweiser, and by the Kellogg Company, makers of Kellogg's Special K cereal. I'll be back shortly with Act One.
Great taste in the morning. Kellogg's has that wholesome taste to get you up and grinning.
This is Jerry Coffer for Kellogg's Special K. We've been having some fun in our television and radio commercials by using a ball and chain to symbolize the slight overweight problem common to so many of us. We point out that being a few pounds overweight is just a little more difficult for you. Climbing stairs, just walking around, even sitting down can feel, well, like you're wearing a ball and chain. In case you missed the message, it's this. If you really want to get rid of that extra weight, you really have to work at it by exercising and with sensible meals like the Special K breakfast. A 1-ounce bowl of Special K, America's favorite high-protein cereal, 4 ounces of skim milk, tomato juice, and coffee. Less than 240 calories. Nutritious and, by the way, delicious. So why not begin each day with a Special K breakfast and then keep up the good work? Special K can't help you lose weight all by itself, but it really is a good start.
Hey, Mom, what's for dinner? Hey, Mom, what you got?
What's for dinner? Your ShopRite is featuring ShopRite or Shenandoah brand Grade A Rock Cornish hens, a real family treat at just 47 cents a pound. What's for breakfast? Listen to these ShopRite values. ShopRite Grade A large eggs, 59 cents a dozen. ShopRite sliced bacon, 1 pound package, 79 cents. ShopRite Grade AA butter, 1 pound brick, 69 cents. Crown Top white bread, 22-ounce loaves, 3 for $1. Save on every meal at ShopRite.
She loves the family. She wants the best. She does all that she can do. She lets ShopRite do the rest. Hey, Ma, what's for dinner? ShopRite has the answer.
The body of a person, given the semblance of life, usually for some evil purpose. That is a zombie. The very name itself is calculated to make the flesh creep and the blood run chill. But on a plane headed for Miami, taking them to their honeymoon, Nothing could be further from the thoughts of Steve Ramsey and his new wife, Pat.
Oh, I can't believe I have you to myself for these few hours, Steve, let alone a glorious 2 weeks.
I don't know what the other associate professors go through, but my first 2.5 years teaching parapsychology have laid me out. I can't wait for those hot sands and warm water.
Can I serve you a drink, sir?
Oh, now that's what I call perfect timing. Why not?
One more, and I can fly solo to Miami without the plane.
Well, then I'll join you. I can't have you orbiting alone.
May I get by, please, stewardess? I'm sorry, sir. Just let me move the cart. Oh, thank you.
Chris! It is Christopher.
It's all right, stewardess. I'll join my friend here for a moment. Hey, Steve, man. Good to see you.
Here. I'll move over. Sit down. Chris, you look something else. It's great to run into you. Only just for a moment there, I thought you were thinking of giving me the brush.
You? Never. I'll explain in a minute.
Oh, Pat, this is Christopher LeClaire. I want you to meet my brand new bride.
Oh, this is a pleasure, Mrs. Ramsey. Let me congratulate you on your impeccable taste, Steve. And both of you on your marriage. I'd like to buy some champagne, but you already have your drink.
No more champagne, thank you. We've had enough in the last few weeks to float a battleship.
At least, let me get a drink for myself to toast the bride and groom.
He's your old football buddy, right?
Yeah. Greatest running back I ever saw. All-around athlete. He could have made it big in the pros. Any sport.
Isn't he a prince or something?
And his father is the king of Mawisha. I wonder what's bugging him.
Now, this is better. A toast from my country. To be a good man is first to have a good wife. Abusantes.
Thank you, Chris. And to yours.
Yours, too.
Oh, yes. Drink to my good health, please.
What is it, Chris? You want to talk about it?
I wish I still had you calling the plays for me, but this is a different ball game. You know about my father?
No. What?
He's...
Oh, no. What can I say? Hang in there, man.
Oh, I will be tough, all right.
Was it recent?
The day before yesterday.
I didn't see anything about it in the papers.
It wasn't in the papers. He didn't die. He was assassinated.
Oh, no.
Any idea who did it?
There is no proof, but I know.
Who?
Oh, maybe not by his own hand, but at least on his orders. Hernando Trujillo.
The Generalissimo? But I thought he was your father's best friend.
And my godfather. His gift to me on my 21st birthday. His own good luck charm. The bracelet of the sacred serpent. The head, the voodoo symbol of life. The tail, the symbol of death. You see, they are woven together.
But then why should he?
Because, Mrs. Ramsey, my father gave our people freedom. A freedom the San Dorindian cannot share.
Why not?
Because if they had it, they would tear the man who rules them by terror to pieces.
So he's planning to move in on Mawisha and annex it.
The moment my father's assassination is revealed. A coup d'etat while the people are in confusion with no leadership. That's why I've given up any dream of becoming a doctor and am going home. A private plane will meet me in Miami to fly me to Mawisha. To save time, I took this commercial flight under an assumed name.
You think Trujillo might...
I was warned just in time. Less than an hour after I left my apartment, a bomb gutted it. I am a dangerous man to know these days. So, before I do cause any...
My God! Steve, what is it?
Two hoods with machine guns. Looks like a sky.
Senores. Ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, my God.
May I have your attention, please?
That's Juan Garcia, Trujillo's hatchet man.
Oh.
What can we do?
Nothing. It's me.
Everyone quiet. If you do as I say, no one will be hurt. We are commandeering this plane. Quiet! Quiet! There is nothing for any of you to fear. The plane will land at Miami, and all passengers will be discharged, except for the flight crew and 4 hostages. I repeat, there is no cause for alarm. if all of you keep your seats and your heads.
Hold still, everybody. Just follow orders. Anyone who doesn't will be shot. Okay. All right. You three. Up and into first class.
Look, Garcia.
No names. And no wrong moves. My orders are to bring you there alive.
I was only going to ask that my friends...
Your friends can identify you. We don't want that for a few days. They will only be held as hostage till we are ready. If they do as they are told, they will be released unharmed. Now move! Join the other hostages you were staying with in first class.
Steve, I'm so sorry.
It's not your fault. You okay, Patricia?
Ready, unwilling, but able.
That's my gal. Let's go.
Just walk ahead of me, nice and steady. Muy bien, mis amigos. Zanka, Roban. Nobody moves till I come back. Okay? Inside. That's it. Go sit by him. Quito, don't let them move till I come back.
I'm sorry I got you into this.
Yeah, we'll make out. Are you okay, honey?
Well, a few butterflies in the stomach. What does he want?
To move in and sit down, I think.
Better keep him happy. He's a sorry character at best. Why don't we sit in these four together? Our friend's a little deaf. If we keep far enough away, we can talk safely. If we keep our voices down.
Why are you being held hostage?
Any number of reasons. I'm U.S. government. I know who you are. They took a dim view of me for carrying a gun, and they have a pretty good idea of who I am, too.
Well, who are you?
Hawkins will do. Bill Hawkins.
What branch of the government?
Well, I think I won't reveal that. I was assigned to see that you cleared the country safely, Your Highness. Someone slipped me a knockout drop in the coffee. That's when I lost consciousness and my gun.
You were asleep when I came back. This is Mr. and Mrs. Steve Ramsey.
I meet you, Steve, ma'am.
Yeah, hi, Hawkins.
How do you do, Mr. Hawkins?
Any idea what their plans are?
Refuel, clear the rest of the passengers out.
Then we head straight for San Dorinde.
That's the notion. So, the moment they get our friend Christophe here to San Dorinde, he's a gone goose. He'll just drop out of sight suddenly and for good. Now, my guess is they'll set up one of these goons as a fall guy, have a big show trial, and in the meanwhile return the plane with us aboard. Only, somewhere on the way, we'll all disappear in a puff of plastic bomb smoke. We're just as long gone as the king here.
What's the alternative?
Distract Ugly there long enough for one of us to disarm him. Garcia and his other boys can only get at us through the narrow passageway between tourist class and here. I can keep them pinned down till you get out the emergency exit.
He's a big guy. But I'll admit...
Okay, no time to argue. Now, how do we distract him?
That's my job.
Pat, please, stay out of this.
I'm in it just as much as all of you. Watch this. Hey, mister, come here a second. Well, okay, then, I'll come to you. Take it easy. I just want to ask something. Well, if you can't hear me, I can't speak any louder. Oh, please, come closer. That's it. I just want to ask where the ladies...
Watch it, he's strong as a bull. God, he's broken my arm.
It's all right. I have the gun. Stay where you are.
Don't let him near you.
I'll shoot.
What are you waiting for?
Stop him!
No! Just stay like that. Don't move. All right, Kilo. Bring up your gun.
Chris! You shot him, Garcia. You killed him.
I told him they're alive. It makes no difference.
But that other man, Chris shot him twice.
Point blank. It should have killed him.
Quito? Oh, no. Don't you know you can kill a zombie? We're coming in for the landing now. How's Chris?
He's alive, but just barely.
If he can just hang on, maybe when we land, a doctor can help
Too
him.
late. Too late for me.
Don't give up, Chris.
Take snake.
What?
The snake bracelet. He wants you to... Here. There. Steve has it, Chris.
Good. Listen. You go
dans ce lounge. She hide you, save you, give her bracelet.
But where do we find her? Où est votre tante? Quelle rue? Quelle place?
Dans Avenida de las Muñecas.
Avenue of the Dolls. Yes, what number?
Up there. Ugly serpent. Take me home. Take me home. Dans ce loge. Help. This sign of the black boat.
We're about to land. Pretty short runway. Better fasten your seatbelts.
I'll get yours for you. Not the most promising way to begin a honeymoon, particularly when it seems there is more than a little chance of ending it, even before it's begun. Who knows what kind of reception is ahead for the newlyweds? I'll be back shortly with Act 2.
Oh, sure. You can talk about good-tasting diet drinks, but I know. I'm Goldilocks, and here at my taste-testing laboratory, I taste-test them all. And nobody's been drinking my diet drinks until I tested sugar-free Diet 7-Up. And then, kabloomy, every bear wanted some. Diet 7-Up is fresh, natural, delicious. Sugar-free Diet 7-Up. This one's just right.
There's a very special deal going on at all offices of Suburban Savings throughout North Jersey. It's called Suburban Special Interest Deal. And you'll be especially interested in these savings you get. A top 7.90% effective annual yield on Suburban's limited issue 7.50% savings certificate. And Suburban guarantees it from 4 to 10 years, minimum deposit $2,500. Early withdrawal prior to maturity is subject to a substantial penalty. Suburban compounds interest continuously from day of deposit paid quarterly. So you not only get interest on your savings, you get interest on the interest. And Suburban offers you the highest interest rate allowed by law. Here's your chance to get a great savings. A top 7.90% effective annual yield on Suburban's limited issue 7.50% savings certificate. Why not deal yourself into Suburban Savings Special Interest Deal in Bayonne, Edgewater, Elmwood Park, Emerson, Hackettstown, Morris Plains, Nutley, Paramus, and Sparta.
There is no mystery about the morning when you come rambling with gambling. Good evening mystery fans. This is John Gambling, and every morning, Monday through Saturday, here at WOR from 5 a.m. till 10, we get the crew together to try to put the morning together for you, to tell you what the weather's going to be like, whether there's heavy traffic coming into the city, whether the subways and the commuter trains are running. Bob Harris is in WOR's Weather Center every morning with all that very complicated equipment that he has to help prognosticate the day's weather. We cover sports completely with Don Cricky. In the news department, Peter Roberts, Henry Gladstone, and Harry Hennessy. And up in the helicopter, George Meade or Fred Feldman, keeping an eye on the traffic scene. So altogether, we do try to take any mystery out of the morning. And just to brighten up the beginning of your day a little bit, I think we have some kind of nice, listenable, and tuneful music. So tune in tomorrow morning or any morning for Rambling with Gambling. Now, back to the mystery. Under other circumstances, Pat and Steve would have no complaints about their accommodations on the island. Drained and exhausted, the silk-sheeted bed in an expensive suite is an alluring invitation to sleep. Except, even if you're to the world, who wants to become part of the world of the two?
Oh, Steve. Is it possible? Could there really be such a thing as a zombie?
No, of course not. It's just a superstition.
But you saw Chris fire 2 bullets right into his body.
Yes.
And he didn't even flinch.
Cogito ergo sum.
What?
I think. Therefore, I am. Pat, look, under any other circumstances, I'd be fascinated. But, I mean, this is my field.
And you do believe that there are walking...
Do I believe that a man can be exhumed from the grave and life breathed back into his corpse? No. No, I can't accept that. That's beyond my credulity. But I've seen things in parapsychological experiments and in psychic research that... Honey, the power of supernatural belief is beyond belief. The right subject, particularly one of low mentality, under hypnosis, is capable of incredible feats. Superhuman strength, no sensation of pain, no shock reaction. Oh, Lord. Now what?
The knock wasn't at the door we came in. It's that one over there.
Oh, wait a minute. Stay where you are, Pat. Yes? Who is it?
Bill Hawkins. I'm in an adjoining room. Is there a bolt on your side?
Yeah. Half a sec. Hiya, Bill. Listen, we've got to talk.
What's the sense in talking? Hello, Pat.
Hello, Bill. How's your arm?
Feels fine. They did a real good job of patching it up. I just wondered before we all turned in if you had a radio in here.
There's one right over there.
Good. Mind if I turn it on and see if I can catch some news? Uh-oh. Only one band. Well, let's see what it's got. Hey, I see they provided you with a meal, too.
I never even noticed.
Pretty good grub. You should try it.
I wouldn't touch it.
Nor I. Look, I don't see how...
All right, we can cut the comedy now. This place is bugged. The radio ought to block us out. Now, we've got to plan some kind of escape.
How?
I may have that lined up. It's where to hole out after we bust from here that's got me stumped.
I've got a possible answer to that.
What?
Saint Solange.
Who? Chris's aunt. She lives here.
Where?
The Avenue of the Dolls.
It's a long, winding street. Any idea where?
You know it?
Well, I spent 6 months on Secret Service here before we closed down our embassy. Did he give you a cross street, a number?
He was pretty incoherent before he died. When I asked him, he just sort of rambled on about the great serpent and the black bull or something.
The serpent is the basic symbol of the voodoo religion. Black bull I never heard of in this liturgy. Wait a minute. The chicken in the Obeah cult is a sacrificial animal considered to... Maybe it was the black pull. He was trying to say black pullet. Does that mean anything to you, Bill?
Yeah, wait a minute. It's sort of a souvenir shop. You know, a typical tourist trap with straw hats and dolls and voodoo drums, you name it.
Yeah, well, could you find it?
Sure, it's not far from here.
But how do we get out first?
You got slacks on. Good. You got a dark scarf to cover that blonde hair?
Right here.
All right, come with me. Walk soft. Keep your voices low. Turn up that radio a little.
Roger.
I'll keep you at the door. Good. Come on. Leave it open. I'm over here to my window. Now keep off to the sides. Now look down.
There's one of those zombies down there.
But you see, there's a balcony and steps that lead to the street.
With something subhuman, or maybe I should say superhuman, armed with a gun right at the bottom of them.
If he's cold-cocked, it isn't going to do him any good.
Bill, you have a lot of guts, but you're no Muhammad Ali, and the only strength I have is in my brain.
Hold out your hands. I'm going to give you the equalizers. Steve, with his fist wrapped around a roll of nickels or quarters, a 13-year-old boy could deck Joe Frazier, given the chance to blindside him.
Yeah, but we haven't got...
Keep your hands out. Now, this is a salt cellar. Same difference. I'm spilling the salt into your left hand. Wrap the other around this heavy crystal. I'm doing the same with the pepper. Now, you, Pat.
Oh, I wouldn't know
You're
how
going to cover us by making a diversion. Pick up that glass water pitcher there. Too heavy for you to throw?
No. Throw where?
We turn off the lights, turn off the radio, make like we're turning in. Then we sneak out the French windows onto the balcony. You go off to the right, opposite end from the steps. When that zombie reacts to the crash of that pitcher on the flagstones on your side, Steve and I go down the steps and take him out. Then we go look for Saint Solange.
No, but he'd see you.
Of course. So we wait until dark. And that won't be long now. Now! You take him, Steve. He's still not out. I'm throwing the pepper. Throw the salt in his eyes.
There you are.
Watch it.
I think I killed him.
Well, don't stop to find out. The light's going on. Come on, Pat. We'll have to run for it. Hold it. We'll have to chance the light.
Which way?
Ahead. To the right. Go in the next block. They're right on our heels. Give me that flashlight and you get out of here, both of you.
What about you?
Don't be a fool. Somebody's got to be a decoy. You have a wife to think of. Now hurry.
Come on, Pat. Run.
To the left! They went to the left! Follow that
light! Yes?
Count de Solange.
Who wants her?
I am Christopher's friend with my wife. We are running from Tujedo, the Generalissimo. Christopher told me to seek refuge here and to bring you this.
The great serpent. A moment. Enter, my children. Quickly, quickly. So, turn out your lights also. We must hide like cats in the dark. So, they have killed little Christophe. First my brother, then his son. Well, he will be made to pay. An eye for an eye, a heart for a bleeding heart. Now shall the tyrant bleed. Now at last my curse shall enter his vitals. Now will the great serpent uncoil and strike Hernando Tujedo.
Oh, it wasn't the Generalissimo who shot Chris.
It was a man named Garcia.
Garcia? That jackal puppet dangled by the strings. That less than nothing with no mind or will of his own.
Is he a zombie, too?
What do you know of zombies, my child?
Nothing, except what I saw on the plane and what my husband tried to tell me.
Oh, you are a teacher in college, Monsieur Ramsey, no?
Yes, and much of my studies are in the supernatural.
You believe in zombie?
Well, no, not altogether.
Very well. We shall put our beliefs to the test.
It's a doll. Like the ones you sell in the store here.
Not quite the same. This one is like the souvenirs of El Generalissimo, with this difference. I've been a long time making him. You see, the straw is from his favorite horse's stall. The beard is made from the combings of his hairbrush. The eyes, J-chips from a dress coat button. The boots from the fingers of an old glove. This is a voodoo doll. All of him is made with things that once belonged to Tujedo. Only one last thing I needed to make the spell work. The weapon. Now at last I have in my hand the instrument of destruction. I straighten out the circle, turn the head to the sky, and death. The tail towards the ground, and strike! What have I done, Mr. Ramsey?
You drove the bracelet like a knife straight through the doll's head.
From temple to temple. Hernando Tujedo will be by midnight, and we will all be free. You still do not believe. Let us find how strong your science holds against my faith. What's that? Tujedo's men. The doll. They must not find the doll. Help me pin it under my skirt.
Oh, my hands are shaking so much.
Bon, just in time.
So, we meet again, Senor Ramsey.
How did you find us?
Your friend Hawkins.
He gave us away?
Senor Ramsey, every man will give anything away with the right persuasion. Senor Hawkins took longer than most. He was very foolish.
What do you mean?
Since in the end he told, why was it worth dying for? Vamos, we must not keep the Generalissimo waiting.
Please, let me assure you that you have nothing to worry about. I ask you all to relax. Now, the table is set for a late supper. I am sure you must all be famished after a long and difficult day. Won't you be my guests?
Prisoners, you mean?
For Hadel.
Ah, yes. La bonne Princess Solange, I am honored. I had no idea you had come to live among us.
I have been here longer than you know.
Yes, I must speak to my secret police about that. Had I been told you were honoring our country with a visit, I would have arranged a more suitable welcome.
I am sure you would, by disposing of me as you did my brother and my nephew Christophe.
I suppose it would be impossible for me to convince you that I had no hand in the death of King Francois. The sad truth is that his heart failed him. His death was a natural one.
Lie upon lie. But one truth you cannot twist. The death of my nephew.
Did you see him die?
There are 2 witnesses before your desk who did.
Excuse me a moment. Garcia, are you ready? See, now. We must wait for a moment.
For what?
You will see. Senora Ramsey, let me ask you a question.
What?
Did you see Christophe Leclerc die?
Yes.
And you, senor?
Yes.
You are quite sure?
Of course.
Yes. Look, what are you trying to prove?
Not I. I will let him show you that for himself. You see?
Chris.
Mon cher baby.
Steve. He's alive. It's Chris.
Chris. Is it really you?
Sure, man. Sure. Don't you know me?
There is no mistaking the tall, lithe figure, the regal bearing, the proud, handsome face. All those belong to Christophe Leclerc. He might easily have remarked, as Mark Twain once telegraphed, "The reports of my death are an exaggeration." We'll return shortly with Act 3.
Some research experts say you can't taste the difference between beers. Well, if they're right, then Anheuser-Busch wastes a barrel of time Beechwood aging Budweiser. Only they don't think so. Brewing beer right does make a difference. And they're betting a bundle that you can taste the difference in Bud. When it comes to brewing Budweiser, the Anheuser-Busch choice is to go all the way because they still care about quality. Look at it this way. If the Bud people have a choice between what some experts say and what beer drinkers say, well, you'd better believe they'll go with you beer drinkers every time. When you say Budweiser, you've said it all. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis.
Tomorrow, Monday at Abraham and Strauss, huge savings on broadloom and on broadloom remnant rugs. From one of America's top carpet mills, A&S snapped up a very special purchase of mill trial velvet broadloom. The tiny imperfections certainly won't affect wear, and you'll pay just $8.99 completely installed with deluxe padding. $8.99 a square yard for lush all-nylon pile velvet broadloom. If perfect, the price will be $14.99, so you save $6 on every square yard. Save on other fried fine broadlooms, too, like a fabulous all-wool pile gold shag broadloom, reduced from $21.95 to just $11.99 a square yard installed. Plus a huge A&S sale of room-size remnant rugs, all at one single sellout price, $69. Take your pick of a tremendous assortment of nylon pile rugs in room sizes up to 12 by 14 feet. Originally $99 to $119. Tomorrow, your choice, $69. Tomorrow, Monday, at your nearest A&S store except Garden City. Come early.
At the shock of the reincarnation of a man appearing from the grave, it is not surprising that his friends and relatives are literally frozen in their tracks. Under the circumstances, then, it is only decent courtesy for the returned corpse to break the ice.
Tante Solange, qu'est-ce que c'est? Have you no greeting for me?
Ah, mon pauvre, je te remercie, pardon. Forgive me. I thought never to see you again.
But here I am.
Ah, mon cher baby, mon cher baby.
Well, now, here is a reunion worth celebrating.
That was a pretty rough wound you had, Chris.
Worse than it looked. Thank God. It was mostly flesh damage. The doctors tell me the bullet bounced off my sternum and never entered the chest.
But should you be on your feet?
Long enough to ease your minds about me. I'm still a bit woozy.
It was like the time you took the XB2 slant off tackle against Ohio State and that big linebacker, Sawchuck, kicked you in the head.
Something like that. Tell them the good news, El Generalissimo. Set my aunt's mind at rest.
Well, I know you hold out my motives, even Christophe did. I can hardly blame him, since I took such extreme measures to bring him here to Sandorinde before his planned arrival at the Moesia.
What was your reason for that?
We walk a tightrope on this shared island of ours. 2 cultures, 2 languages, 2 forms of government, perched precariously on a ever-increasing population in a far more ancient and primitive culture than either of ours. Your brother and I, each in his own way, preserved that delicate balance. With his unexpected death, steps had to be taken.
Why? You know his plan was to return the government to the people.
That would not have worked, not even for them. We would have ended, both of us, in anarchy. Fortunately, my godson was perceptive enough to realize that. We have worked out between us a better plan.
A compromise?
I would prefer to call it an entente. Tell them, Christophe.
It's quite simple. Tomorrow, together, my godfather and I shall proclaim a union between Mauritia and Sandorinde. A trilingual state with one government.
Ruled by whom?
By the Generalissimo and myself. I as president, and my godfather as prime minister.
Trujillo in second place.
We elders grow no younger, Solange. Someone must take our place. I am happy to yield to the future. What better hands could this island be in than in Christophe's? So, now I think, Mr. Presidente, you should rest. Doctors can do only so much. Nature handles the rest.
Yes, I would like to lie down.
I am sure you will be excused. I beg you not to wait for me to enjoy your supper. The Presidente and myself have a few matters to settle about the announcement tomorrow before he goes to sleep.
Forgive me, please. I'm tired. And tomorrow's a big day. Good night.
Good night, Chris.
Good night.
Adieu, mon baby. Goodbye. Forever.
What is it? What's the matter with you two?
You saw? You know? Do you now believe in zombies?
What are you trying to say?
That wasn't Chris who was here just now.
I don't understand.
You don't know him as I do. First, he never would accept this deal. The guy's too decent, too honest to be part of it. But there are other things.
What?
Well, first off, our school never played Ohio State. Second, Sawchuck was no linebacker, but a running back who murdered us on the only loss we had together. Third, XB2 wasn't a run play, but a deep pass play that had nothing to do with Chris except as a decoy.
I don't understand the things your husband says, but I tell you, that was not Christophe Leclerc, who just left. Not my nephew. They have stolen his soul. And that I cannot allow.
Well, what can we do about it, Tante Solange?
It is a very few minutes to 12. I told you Hernando Trujillo would beat by then. Remember?
Yes?
Here is a conjured doll which will make his death. I place it on his desk so he can see it. For it is by his own guilt he must die before the end of this day.
But if he doesn't return?
He will return. It is written in the dust.
Oh, nobody feels like eating, Well, I don't suppose I can altogether blame you. Shall I have you shown to your quarters for the night instead?
Where is Christophe?
Oh, I should never really have allowed him to overtax himself after being wounded. He was absolutely exhausted. I saw him to bed.
And you return to suggest the same to us?
I think we are all tired. Whatever discussion there may be between us can wait for tomorrow.
For you, there is no tomorrow.
What do you mean?
Liar, cheat, thief, murderer. Look, on your desk.
A conjured doll.
Your image. Made piece by piece from your belongings. Fashioned in your likeness. Christened in your name with the blood of a black pullet. Your own bracelet of the sacred serpent driven through its brain.
Do you think I could buy such childish superstition? I am no savage.
What a man thinks is what he is.
This primitive mumbo-jumbo will have no effect on me.
Are you sure? How large is a bag of guilt you carry?
Will nothing convince you, woman? Your nephew and
my nephew.
Christophe.
Christophe is...
How can you say that? You have just seen him.
I saw a walking corpse.
More idiot superstition.
Like my conjured doll?
Of course.
You don't believe in it.
No.
And you believe in zombies. You know the power of voodoo can create them. You know the power of voodoo can kill.
What is it you want?
Too late for that.
I will give you anything. I offer you and these two safe transport now. No strings attached.
How can you guarantee it?
I am head generalissimo. My power is infinite.
Not anymore. The clock is ticking your life away.
No.
12 o'clock. No. Only a few seconds left.
Help me. Help me.
I cannot help. The die is cast.
No.
You cannot even help yourself.
I will give you money, jewels, anything. Name it. What do you want?
But you cannot give me what you stole from my nephew. His soul. I want yours in return. Then die. By the power granted me as an obeah woman, vested in my hands by the uncoiling sacred serpent, to take the place of the voodoo doll. As it should to all tyrants, so comes a violent death to you. I condemn you to everlasting fire and death by the serpent writhing in your face.
No! I cannot die! I am the dictator! I am supreme! I am the law! No one can touch me, do you hear? No one! You condemn me! Why, all I have to do is raise this pistol and you...
What happened?
I wouldn't like to guess.
Does it matter?
Are you sure?
He's all right.
Now what?
Got to get away. Escape somehow.
Yeah, only how do we get through the palace guard? At least I have his gun. We better try and make a run for it.
We have to rescue my nephew first.
But Tante Solange, he's our enemy now.
I still must rescue him.
Mi perdone, generalissimo.
Let him see me on the gun!
That's for Bill Hawkins. Pat, tell him run for it. I'll try to hold him off.
You can't kill men with that. Garcia, yes, but not a zombie. Hand me that salt cellar.
Here. But what good...
Salt is the only thing that will kill a zombie.
It's Chris. Lying on the bed. Is he...
No. No, he's still breathing. He's just asleep.
Leave me alone with him. Go if you want to. But leave me with Christoph.
Will you be long?
As long as it must take. Go.
Well, we can't find our way out of here without you. We'll wait.
Oh, great serpent who coils about the sky and holds our world together. Help me now. Help me to break the black magic that chains my baby to a living death. Help me to bring his soul home to you. Christoph. Christoph. Listen to me. It is Tante Solange who speaks. You know me as an Obia magician. My magic is greater than the magic of the Hugan who made you what you are. He summoned you from the grave and stole away your soul. Now I must summon you back to the grave. Back to the everlasting so that your immortal soul may live. But only you can break the bonds. Rise, zombie. Rise. And cross to the window. Open the shutters. Now, open your eyes and look at the sea. No! In the name of the great serpent, I command you, open your eyes.
Tante, I'm going home.
My baby.
Tante, are you all right?
What happened? Is he...
His body may be, but his soul is safe. Christoph is home at last.
The death of the dictator set a people free in a mad orgy of festival and delight. In the wild celebration that lit up the city, no one had time to pay any attention to the three somber people who found their way back to the hotel. For Pat, Steve, and Tante Solange, there was sadness, but solace, too. The king was, but so was the zombie who might have held him prisoner for eternity. I'll return shortly.
Hi, Ms. Goldilocks here. Professionally taste-testing diet drinks can be very difficult, but I just had to bear with it. Then I found sugar-free diet 7-Up. It doesn't taste like other diet drinks. It's fresh, light, natural, delicious. Sugar-free diet 7-Up tastes so good that I've taste-tested it hundreds of times, and each time I've given it my seal of approval. Yes, this one's just right.
United Airlines steward Jack Nestor talks about friendship service to California.
Our 747 to LA, we have a movie, we have a stereo, and choice of 3 different hot meals plus a deli plate.
United's Californians. Another reason more people choose the friendly skies than any other airline in the land.
You know, we have people that come up to us and say, I like to play bridge. Do you know if anyone else is interested? So we'll make an announcement and get a group together. People who like to play chess. It seems like on a 6-hour flight, you can do a lot more for people. You know, you get off feeling like you've done something.
Come along, sing a song, people now to die. The friendly skies of your land, United Airlines.
United has 7 daily non-stops to California, including wide-body jets to Los Angeles and San Francisco every business day.
This is Patricia McCann, and we'd like to tell you what the McCann program is all about this coming week. Monday, Dora McCann gives some good ideas on how to prepare the best food buys of the week. Tuesday, we begin a 2-part series on nutrition against arthritis, diabetes, heart disease. Our guest, Nathan Pritikin, will discuss research that shows diet can prevent and sometimes reverse some of these degenerative diseases so common in this country. Thursday, Dora McCann interviews Bob Reinhart and Dick Woods on how to prepare elegant meals in very cramped quarters. And Friday, the program will be in praise of mothers and housewives when Ariana Stasinopoulos, author of The Female Woman, gives her argument against the women's liberation movement.
Power of suggestion, hypnosis, superstitious fear, overpowering guilt complexes, terror of the unknown. Do any or all of these explain the events of the tale I've just told? Or are there really such terrifying things as a walking corpse? Are there really zombies? Well, let's hope you and I never have to find out. Our cast included Tony Roberts, Suzanne Grossman, Vinette Carroll, Bob Caliban, Jackson Beck, and Ian Martin. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. Radio Mystery Theater was sponsored in part by new sugar-free Diet 7-Up. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
WR Mystery Theater has been brought to you by ShopRite Supermarkets, where you get a lot more for a little less, and by Suburban Savings, with offices throughout North Jersey. The preceding Mystery Theater program is furnished by the CBS Radio Network.
Thank you, Bruce Elliott. Good afternoon. It's time now for the latest news in brief from the WOR newsroom. President Nixon today rested at his mountain retreat in Camp David, Maryland, as the House Judiciary Committee prepared for the start of impeachment hearings. That panel is expected to begin assembling information on Tuesday in its quest to determine whether to bring charges against the chief executive. A survey by the Gallup organization says that the White House apparently gained little or nothing in the way of public support by releasing transcripts of Watergate tape recordings. The Gallup poll says 700 persons were questioned after that release. And the finding was that 17% had a higher opinion of Mr. Nixon because the transcripts were made public, but 42% said they had a lower opinion of him. A prominent Democratic senator, Henry Jackson of Washington, hammers away at the Nixon administration's economic policies. That story from WOR's Bob Brady.
Senator Jackson put his own label on the economic policies of the Nixon administration. He called it elephant economics. Jackson, a potential candidate for the Democratic nomination for president, says there's no better symbol to represent the slow and sluggish economic state of the nation.
Everything that is going up should be going down. Everything that's going down should be going up. We have our interest rates at the highest rate in history, with no end in sight, and with the only remedy for all of this is to put the economy of the United States into a major recession that'll hurt everyone.
Jackson says the working man has taken an economic beating because the Nixon administration has been made ineffective by the loss of confidence in government as a result of the Watergate crisis. For WOR News, Bob Brady reporting from the Hotel Commodore.
The senator is in Manhattan to speak before a meeting of the League for Industrial Democracy. If computer projections are accurate, France will soon have her first non-Gaullist president in 16 years. The computers say that the communist-supported socialist candidate in today's presidential elections will come up with the most votes, but not enough to win outright. The projections, that is, say that Francois Mitterrand will get about 44% of today's ballots. A conservative candidate is projected to run second with 33%, and the Gaullist hopeful is running a poor third. On the basis of these projections, Mitterrand and the conservative will face each other in a runoff 2 weeks from now. Top diplomatic officials of the United States and Russia were at work in the Middle East today. State Secretary Kissinger flew from Jerusalem to Jordan's capital city of Amman. There he is briefing King Hussein on details of recent negotiations for disengagement of Israeli and Syrian troops in the Golan Heights. A high-ranking official in Kissinger's party says that so far, they have managed to scale down the level of violence along the truce line. Checking sports, Milwaukee has defeated Boston 97-89 to tie that NBA championship playoff series at 2 games apiece. And the Stanley Cup semifinal decider at Philadelphia, the New York Rangers are tied with the Flyers, 1-1 after 1 period. In baseball, the Mets blew a 4-run lead and fell before San Diego in the first of 2 at Shea, 5-4. In the second game, the Mets lead the Padres 2-0 in the 5th inning. In Kansas City, the Yankees trail the Royals in the 8th inning, 4-2. And we'll have the latest weather after this. With so many new kinds of tires coming out and so many claims being made about tires, maybe you're puzzled about making the right choice. There's a solution. It's your General Tire specialist. He's trained to handle all your tire needs and automotive service problems, too. So if you need new tires, he'll be glad to spend a few minutes explaining which General Tire is the best for you, your driving, and your budget. Your General Tire specialist is just one reason why, sooner or later, you'll own Generals. Look him up in the Yellow Pages today. Here's the latest forecast for New York City and vicinity. Cloudy and cool tonight, with rain likely developing towards morning. The low tonight in the mid-40s. Tomorrow will bring periods of rain into tomorrow night. The high in the mid-50s tomorrow. The low tomorrow night in the mid-40s. Under cloudy skies in mid-Manhattan, the temperature 52 degrees. Humidity 38%. Barometric pressure 30.02 inches and falling. The winds are out of the south at 9 miles per hour. That's the latest news. I'm Bert Wilson. This is WOR New York.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome.
I'm E.G. Marshall. Have you ever known terror? Have you ever come up against something that so threatened you, so horrified you, that it stopped your heart for a moment? If you never have, count yourself lucky. But don't count on your luck too much. After all, who's to say that terror may never touch you, huh? Consider Helen and Jim Crane. They never thought it would ever touch them.
Blood. Jim, there's blood all over. And the axe. Did you see the axe?
Come on, let's get out of here.
Blizzard, we can't
stay here either. There must have been a terrible fight in that kitchen, and I'm not waiting for the winner to come back.
You don't suppose...
What?
The murderer the police are looking for. The man who slaughtered the Grant family. They said he was holed up somewhere on the mountain. This cabin, maybe? You don't think...
All I think is that we'd better get out of here.
Our mystery drama, Blizzard of Terror, was written especially for the Mystery Theater by George Lothar and stars Lois Smith.
I'll be back shortly with Act One.
More of the Mystery Theater on WABC.
Dare you join me now in a blizzard of terror?
Not so fast. Not so quick to answer yes. Are your nerves in shape for what lies ahead? Have you promised yourself a good night's sleep? A promise you want to keep? In simple brief, are you who now listen to my voice ready to cope with terror? Very well. You made the choice, not I. Come along, then. Well, come on.
That China will form no coalition with Russia in the foreseeable future. That's the world news. Now I have a special bulletin from the big Indian Sheriff's office.
Jim, turn the radio
Sheriff
off.
Ed Ralston warns all motorists to stay off the roads on Thunder Mountain. Not only because of the blizzard, but also because the man sought for the brutal murder of the Grant family is believed to be hiding out somewhere on the mountain.
Please, shut it off.
All of them, with a kitchen carving knife. The Grant family...
Thank you, Mr. Crane.
You're welcome, Mrs. Crane.
We don't need to be told again and again that we're in a blizzard on Thunder Mountain. We know we are, thanks to you. I'm sorry.
Okay, skip it. Maybe it is my fault.
Jim!
Wow, that was a close one. I can't see the road. All I can see is snow.
What's that?
What's what?
There, just ahead, back under the trees. A cabin?
So?
We better stop.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
We're just managing to make it up this grade now. If we stop, we'll never get started
If
again.
we keep going, we're sure to get stuck. Those snowdrifts out there are getting worse.
Yeah, I know,
We'd be safer in that cabin.
we could freeze to death.
Jim, please, for once, listen to reason.
Okay. You win. You always do.
Don't stop here. The cabin's over there.
If we drive in there, we will get stuck.
You really are going to have to get new glasses. Can't you see the road?
Oh, yeah. Tire tracks. Snowed over, but tracks.
Those tire tracks, they mean somebody's there. Yes. Look. Smoke coming out of the chimney. Ah, now, are you glad we turned in?
Swooning with delight.
You're angry because I was right.
When are you wrong? When are you ever wrong?
Oh, you are something. You are. You are really. Why do we quarrel like this, fly at each other every time?
Well, maybe if you weren't so darned independent. Forget it. Okay, come on.
Ooh. Oh, right. It's so cold.
Yeah. All right, let's get inside. Fast. Hello? Anybody home? Hello?
Just open the door and go in.
Well, I don't like to just barge in.
Jim, under the circumstances, if you won't, I will. Hello? Anyone here? Hello?
There must be somebody here. There's a fire smoldering in the fireplace. Here, look, there's a pipe in this ashtray. The tray is full of pipe ashes.
Yeah. Oh, here's a coffee cup, half full.
Uh-huh.
There's a book open on the table. Huh. Jung's Psychology of the Unconscious. Whoever owns this place must be a brain. Hello? Anyone here? Hello?
Helen, don't do that. You've got no right to go nosing around.
Bedroom. Nobody in it. Must be the kitchen. Behind that door.
Helen!
Yes.
Let's just sit down and just wait for whoever owns this place to come back, huh?
I just want...
You've got no right, Helen. Now, the owner of this place must be the kind of person who wouldn't like people nosing around.
Oh, now,
I'm telling
really?
you. Just look at it. This isn't just a cabin. It's a kind of lodge. Here, that wall lined with books. There, a hi-fi. Stacks of records, all classical. And those paintings on the walls. Helen, please.
I want a cup of coffee, and if this door leads to the kitchen...
Just won't listen. Just won't ever listen. Well, what are you standing there for? Now that you've opened the door, go on in.
Oh. Good Lord.
What is it?
Oh. Jim. Oh, Jim.
Helen, what is it?
The kitchen. Oh. The kitchen.
Here, Helen, here. You better sit down. You look like you're going to faint. Now, you just sit there. I'll have a look. Oh, no. Oh, Helen, come on now. We better get out of here.
My God, oh, Jim. Blood all over. And the axe. Did you see the axe?
Yeah, that's the first thing I saw. Come on.
Blizzard. We can't
stay here. There must have been some hell of a fight in that kitchen, and I'm not waiting for the winner to come back.
Oh, you don't suppose...
What?
The murderer? The murderer they're looking for, that man who slaughtered the Grant family? They said he was holed up somewhere on the mountain.
Helen, I don't know, and we're not going to hang around to find out. Now, come on, let's get out of it. Hello.
Hello.
I'm Jim Crane. This is my wife, Helen. We got caught in a blizzard, and we saw your cabin, and we just came in.
We were over at Big Mountain for a skiing weekend, and we started back too late, thanks to my husband.
Oh. Yeah, I guess it was my fault. You see, I don't ski. My wife does, but I don't, and, well, I got into this poker game, and I was winning, and I couldn't quit when I was ahead. You know how it is?
You don't have to make any excuses to me, friend. Maybe to her, but not to me.
Well, I was just explaining.
Like ice in here. Better get that fire going again.
You needn't bother on our account.
I'm not.
Well, what I meant was we were just leaving.
Not in that blizzard, you're not, Mrs. Crane.
It's Miss Morgan, if you don't mind.
I thought you said she's your wife.
Well, she keeps her maiden name.
You kidding?
No,
You marry a doll and give her your name and she won't use it? What's the matter, excuse me, Miss Morgan, you said, huh? What's the matter? Your husband's name isn't good enough for you?
It isn't that.
Then what is it?
I prefer to keep my own name, that's all. A lot of women do these days.
Yeah, they call it women's lib.
Women's what?
Lib. For liberation. You know, they keep their names, their independence, their jobs, everything.
Everything, eh? That's too bad. You were my wife, doll. You wouldn't keep your name or your job or, anything. What do you do besides letting her get away with all this?
Engineer. I'm an engineer.
You drive a train?
Oh, no, not that kind of engineer. Hydraulic engineer. Water power.
Oh. Cigarette?
No, thanks. I don't smoke.
You?
I don't smoke either. And I thought you...
Huh?
Nothing.
You thought I was?
Well, I noticed the pipe in the ashtray, so...
Oh, well, yes, I do smoke a pipe now and then. Cigarettes, too.
You haven't told us your name.
Jake.
Jake what?
Jake's enough. We need more wood. I'll get it.
Let's get out of here.
No, we can't.
Well, we've got to. He doesn't own this place. He doesn't live here. And from the looks of him, oh, good Lord, what a bruiser. He could be the murderer the sheriff's looking for. The blood on his clothes, it's all over his parka.
Helen, we can't be sure it's blood.
What else could it be? And what about the cigarettes? There's not one cigarette in that ashtray. There's nothing but pipe ashes.
Yeah, that's true, all right.
And he's stupid. Totally uninformed. He couldn't be the man who reads these books. Listens to that music. He never heard of women's lib. He thought you drove a train.
Helen, we can't leave. We could die out there.
We can die in here. And I have a feeling we will, if we don't get...
That'll hold us for a while. And enough wood in the shed to keep us warm through the night. As though with a little lady like this to keep you warm, you wouldn't have to worry too much, would you? Well, don't look so upset, Jimmy boy, would you? I wouldn't. But then I'd see to that. Not a bad idea, come to think of it. How about a drink, sweetie? Or don't you do that either?
I could use a drink, yes.
You, Jim?
Thanks, yes. What do you do, Jake?
Right now, nothing.
Well, I mean when you do something.
Let's see, we got scotch, bourbon, vodka. What'll it be?
Helen?
Scotch.
Huh?
I said Scotch.
No, please?
Give me, please.
Gimme, boy?
The same. Please.
One thing you gotta say for men. They got better manners than women. Well, come on. Pull up to the fire here. Let's all get, cozy. That okay with you, Helen?
It'll certainly be warmer by the fire.
That isn't what I said.
I know what you said.
What'd I say? Here you are.
Thank you.
Showing better manners. Good.
Thanks.
That's better. Easy chair, warm fire, drink. That's much better.
Nice place you've got here.
It's all right.
You must do a lot of reading, all those books.
I read some, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I see you like classical music, too.
Hmm.
Who are your favorites? Composers, I mean.
Oh,
Beethoven, maybe?
Yes, I like Beethoven.
Oh, me too. I'm especially fond of his 10th Symphony.
Oh, yes, I go for that, too. Well, I don't know about you two, but I'm getting hungry. Could use some supper. How about it?
Yeah, I could eat.
You, sweetie?
Oh, I suppose. Yes.
Good. But first, we'll have to clean up the kitchen. It's a real bloody mess out there, and I mean bloody.
What do you mean bloody?
Just said there's blood all over. All over me, too. See?
Oh, yes.
How, what happened?
I didn't want to kill him. I had to. I surprised him out there in the kitchen, and he came for me. It was an axe, and it was the handiest thing, and I used that. I sank it into his skull, deep. I couldn't help thinking of the Grant family.
The Grant?
Yes, you haven't heard about that. Whole family down in the valley. Slaughtered. Blood all over. Like out there in the kitchen. Well, we better get to it.
You mean me?
There's a lot to clean up. I can't do it by myself.
Jim will help you.
No. You will.
I'd rather not.
I didn't ask you whether you'd rather or wouldn't. I'm telling you. I'll give you 2 minutes to get out in this kitchen with me and get to work.
There is no Beethoven 10th. Oh, Jim, what have we got ourselves into?
Helen, better humor him. Go on now. You better go on out into that kitchen.
I'm scared. I just can't be in that kitchen, not alone with him. Oh, you saw the way he looks at me. The thing he says.
Oh, don't worry. I'll protect you.
You?
Well, how about it, dollface? Are you coming?
Yes. Yes. I'm coming.
Helen and Jim feel the first stirrings of terror. But worse, much worse, lies ahead for them. I'll be back shortly with Act 2.
On WABC.
Suppose now that you, not Jim and Helen Crane, but you had sought shelter from the blizzard in that forsaken mountain cabin. You had met this strange and quite obviously murderous man who calls himself Jake. Suppose you, not Helen, are helping him, against your will, to clean up the shambles in the kitchen. The bloody shambles.
Well, that's it, I guess.
The axe needs to be washed. There's blood all over it. Well, go on, wash it.
I can't touch it.
And not as liberated, wasn't that the word, as you thought?
I don't see what that's got to do with it.
I kind of got the impression you felt you could do anything a man could do. All right, I'll wash the axe. You start making supper. Well, what are you standing there for? Get busy.
I don't know where anything is.
Lots of canned stuff in that closet, and there's a can over on the wall. Think you know how to use it?
I'll try.
Spunky, aren't you?
Spunky.
You know there was a killer in this kitchen this afternoon, and I was the one used this axe. You know that, but you got the nerve to stand up to me. Maybe too much nerve.
There's beans and spaghetti, stew, and that's about it. What do you want?
You decide. I figure you're good at deciding things. That's what's wrong between you and your hubby?
How do you know there's something wrong?
No sweat. 5 minutes with the two of you, and anybody could see you're too pushy. And him, he's too much the other way. Yep, like I said, you're too spunky. Somebody ought to take a little of it out of you.
Get your hands off me.
Oh, come on now.
Let me go. Oh, stop it. Stop it.
Hey, what's going on here?
Oh.
What's going on? Well, you might say I was, starting to do what you should do, Jimmy boy.
Well, don't try that again. You do.
And you won't do any more than you're doing right now.
Oh, no? Oh, no?
Oh, Jim, please. It's all right now. No harm done. I'm not hurt or anything.
What's the big deal, Jimmy boy? Little kiss between friends. What's to get psyched up about? Come on, chum. Let's you and me have a friendly drink while Helen gets supper ready.
No, I don't want to.
Come on. You know how to use that can opener, sweetie?
I'll manage.
That's my girl. Scotch, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I see you tried to use the phone. Don't look so surprised. You put it back the wrong way around.
The phone's...
I could have told you that.
The wires are down, I guess.
No. I cut the wires.
You cut... I see.
Well, you drink, Jimmy boy. Cheers. Oh, and by the way, in case you've got any other ideas about getting help, those guns over the fireplace aren't loaded. And neither is that revolver on the mantel.
Jake.
Yeah?
I'll make a deal with you.
What gives you the idea that you're in any position to make a deal?
I'm not, but you've got aces back to back. I know that, but I'm still in the game, Jake.
You're a good poker player. You're bluffing, but I'd never be able to tell it in your face.
Are you going to listen?
All ears.
Let us go, Helen and me. Let us go, and we won't say a thing, not a thing, to anybody.
About what?
What? You know.
I don't know.
Look, I don't want to spell it out.
You got no choice. I hold aces back to back, like you said.
All right. My wife and I, we have a pretty good idea who you are. You know that, or I wouldn't be telling you.
Uh-huh.
So, what you're thinking, once these two leave here, they'll contact the sheriff and give them a lead on me. Well, all I want to say is, just give us a break and we won't say a word to anybody.
Thanks. I appreciate that. And in return,
you just let us go.
Who's holding you?
Well, you know what I mean. We can't go now, not with that blizzard out there. I mean, tomorrow or the next day, whenever the plow comes through and clears the road. I want you to let us live.
What for? Answer me that, Jimmy boy. What for?
Well, that's a crazy question.
Yeah? Let me tell you something. Tell me. You in love with your wife? You can't answer that, huh? She in love with you. Can't answer that either, huh? Can you? How long you been married? You can answer that.
3 years.
What happened, Jimmy? What happened between the time 3 years ago you two couldn't wait to get married, I'll bet, and now, when you can't wait to get divorced? You are thinking about divorce, aren't you?
Well, we don't get along, that's for sure, but...
For what? You're at each other's throats day in and day out, right? Nothing but fights, arguments, frustrations on both sides. From the minute you get up till you go to bed, right? Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
And you want to live? For what?
Well, you keep hoping things will change.
They won't. Unless you make them change. And very few ever do. They keep hoping right into the grave, hoping. Like Grants.
Why did you kill the Grants?
They killed themselves. They were long before they were put out of their misery. Like you and her. I'll make a deal with you, Jimmy.
I'm listening.
You give me a good reason why you should go on living. And it's a deal.
We want to.
No. You just don't want to die. Now, it wasn't a bad meal, sweetie. You're real talented with a can opener.
Thank you.
Storm's getting worse. Yeah, we're really snowed in now, drifts above the windowsills. Better build this fire up, and then I guess we'll hit the sack. Where do you want to sleep, sweetie? Come on now, you shouldn't have any trouble making up your mind.
Oh, I haven't. I'll sleep with my husband, as usual.
As usual?
What kind of a crack is that?
Now, cool it, Jimmy boy.
Well, I won't have my wife insulted. I don't care how big you are, Jake, or how tough or cold-blooded. I won't have you insulted.
Jim, now stop it. This is no time for gallantry. You're no match for him. He'd kill you.
Besides, you took me the wrong way. All I meant was... Well, come on now, be honest. How long has it been since you two did sleep together as husband and wife?
That's no business of yours.
Long time, huh? Well, the minute I laid eyes on you, the way you acted toward each other, looked at each other, the way you talked, anybody could see you hated each other.
We don't hate each other.
You love each other? You see, that's what I mean. You two. You don't hate, you don't love. You don't nothing. And you ask me, that's a nutty way to live. So how about it, sweetie?
How about what?
There's a nice big double bed in that bedroom, and it's going to be a cold night. And me, I sure appreciate it.
I warn you, Jake.
Oh, Jim! I'll sleep out here on the couch.
Come here, sweetie.
What? Oh.
Let old Jake see if he can change your mind.
God, hey, now.
Get
what
your
are you
hands off her.
Come here.
You dirty...
Jim! Why, you shouldn't...
Hit me, would you?
Oh.
I guess that'll hold you for a while, Jimmy boy. Now, you, dog.
Oh, no. Yeah. You can kill me if you want to. You could torture me for hours, but I would never...
Suit yourself. Now I think about it. What would I want with you? Oh, when Jimmy boy comes to, tell him not to get any ideas in the night about escaping or overpowering me. He hasn't a chance.
Jim? Jim?
Oh, I'll be okay. He sure packs a mean wallop.
You shouldn't have even thought of standing up to him.
Some things a man will take and some things he won't. And manhandling his wife is one of them.
Jim, can we get out? Do you think? Would there be any way?
No. We're snowed in. Even if we could get to the car, we wouldn't be able to drive it afoot in those drifts.
What about telephoning for help?
On the phones, he cut the wires.
Oh.
But don't you worry. Don't you worry, Helen. There's one thing he overlooked.
What?
That revolver on the mantelpiece. This.
It's loaded?
Not yet, but it's going to be. He made a big point about those guns over the mantel, and this revolver had no bullets in them. I knew that without being told. Those guns were the first thing I went for when you two were in the kitchen.
But if they're unloaded...
Well, I nosed around. I couldn't find any ammunition for the guns on the wall, but I found these in that drawer.
Do they fit?
Looks as if they ought to. We'll soon find out.
They do. They fit.
Yeah, thank heavens.
What do we do now?
We'll wait till morning. But we're safe now, Helen. Safe.
Thanks to you, darling.
You know, you haven't called me Dad in I don't know when.
Jim, there's something I forgot to mention. I kind of figure you must have found the bullets for that revolver in the desk drawer. You did, didn't you?
What of it?
Don't bother loading that gun. It doesn't work. The trigger's broken. Nice.
Helpless once again, Jim and Helen can only stare at each other as fear touches them with icy fingers. I'll be back shortly with Act 3. Terror's icy fingers grip Helen and Jim Crane as they face all but certain death at the hands of Jake. Curious, though, isn't it? Even strange that their fear, shared in common, brings them closer to each other than ever before in the 3 years of their marriage. Strange. Curious.
Jim?
Oh, I didn't know you were awake.
I hardly slept.
I'm sorry. I've done the best I could with this fire through the night to keep the room warm.
I know. I watched you get up out of that chair again and again. Thank you, Jim.
What?
You did it mostly for me. For my comfort. Thank you.
Oh, nonsense. I need a little warmth, too, you know.
You don't get much, do you? From me.
Could be I don't rate much.
I think you do.
Why do you withhold it?
I only just found out.
Found out?
It wasn't the cold that kept me awake through the night. It was thinking about Jake and us.
Yeah, well, we'll manage a way out of this. I don't know how, but we will.
I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about something he said last night. He said, we don't hate each other, we don't love, we don't nothing. And then he said, you ask me, that's a nutty way to live. Well, it is, isn't it?
If what he said was true about us, but it isn't.
It is.
Not for me. I did a lot of thinking, too. I love you, Helen. I always have. It's just that...
Yes?
I don't know. It seems I can't reach you anymore. Something happened to us along the way, and I can't figure out what it is.
I think I can.
Tell me.
I don't know. I think maybe it's just the times we live in. I mean, oh, well. Take women's lib.
I don't see anything wrong with women's lib. The fact is, I'm all for it if it doesn't go too far.
It did with me, I think.
Oh, I don't know.
I do. I wanted to be... I still want to be my own person. Myself. Me. The last thing I wanted was to be dependent on anyone, and I guess especially on you. But last night, oh, Jim, I was scared. And when you fought for me, you just went for him like a raging animal, Jim, and you did it for me. I know you wouldn't have done it for yourself, or maybe for anyone, but you did it for me. Oh, Jim, I needed you. I really did need you.
Well, maybe the simple truth is that we need each other. I don't mean just you and me, but everybody. I mean, we're all in the same boat, aren't we? Same world. We are dependent on each other, so why do we fight it?
I'm not fighting it anymore. I made up my mind to that during the night. Jim, I love you. You are a wonderful husband, only I just never gave you the chance to be.
Oh, Helen, sweetheart.
Oh, I do love you. Oh, Jim, I do. Oh, I do.
Oh, dearest.
Well, look what's going on here. When did you two scrappers become lovebirds? Never mind. The fire needs building up. Get some wood, Jim. It's out back in the shed.
Okay.
So, you think you've fallen in love with your husband all over again, eh?
You were listening. You overheard.
Laugh myself sick.
I don't see anything funny about it.
You wouldn't. You believe it. So does he. Fact is, the two of you in the same boat, and no, you better row together or else.
Or else what?
You'll find out, sweetie.
What will you take to let us go?
And they're putting the cart before the horse, aren't you? Go where?
The blizzard has stopped.
But those drifts out there must be 6 to 8 feet high.
They must plow that road. They have to keep it open. A plow is sure to come through, if not today, tomorrow.
Could be.
Well, then.
Well, then what?
Don't kill us. Let us go.
Why should I?
I'll give you anything you want. I'll do anything you want.
How do you know what I want? What makes you so sure you can supply it?
You've made that plain enough. Jake, I beg you, let us live. At least, let Jim live. And I'll do anything. Anything.
Oh,
Jim!
Oh, what happened?
Oh, I was bringing an armful of wood, and I stepped on a log. Oh, twisted my ankle.
Here, let me give you a hand. Just lean on me. Now, take it easy.
Jim, dear.
Easy now, easy. There, sit right there.
Let me get that shoe off.
Let him get it off himself. He's no cripple. You get out in the kitchen and scare up some breakfast. You heard me.
Oh, the pain.
See if you can stand on it.
Stand?
Try it.
I can't. I'm helpless. Oh.
Yeah. Real helpless. Hey, you make a good cup of coffee, doll.
Thank you. I'll get another cold compress for your ankle, Jim.
He's all right.
I
said he's okay. Let him worry about his ankle. You and me have some unfinished business.
What is this? Helen, what is this?
It's the only way.
What only way? What are you talking about?
Jim, I made a deal with him.
A deal?
I said I'd do anything if he'd let us go.
Are you out of your mind?
He's going to kill us. Now, you know that.
You're crazy. He'll get what he wants, and then he'll kill us.
No.
Yes.
No, because I'm going to kill him with this
kitchen knife.
All I want is to get close enough to him.
No, you can't do that. It isn't in you to do that.
It's got to be. There isn't any other way.
What's keeping you?
I'm coming.
And leave the knife, doll. These petitions are awful thin. You ought to know that by now. Put the knife down, I said.
Stay where you are, Helen.
She made a deal. And she's going through with it.
Over my body.
No, you fool. Over your live body.
Over my life?
He said he'd spare you.
Spare me? He said us.
She lied. She made the bargain to save you.
Helen, you would...
I love you. I love you, Jim. I told you that. I love you.
And I love you, Helen, a lot too much to let you go through with anything like this.
What you figure you can do about it, huh? You can't even stand, not on that bad ankle you can't.
Oh, yes, I can.
Jimmy, boy, not you. Now, doll.
No. I can't. I can't go through with it.
Oh, yes, you can.
Leave her alone. Leave her alone.
Oh, please, I can't.
Stop it, you hear me? Stop it.
Oh, Jim. You... How did you?
I don't know, Helen. I somehow grabbed the poker and made it across the floor and hit him with it. I don't know how I did it. Oh, I've got to sit down and get off this.
Oh, here. Oh, lean on me. All right, now. Easy.
Yeah, thanks. Better have a look at him, Helen. See if he's breathing. I may have killed him.
He's breathing. His head's bleeding where you hit him.
I get something to tie him up with. See if there's some rope around. And snap it up. He's coming to.
Oh, yes. It's a phone.
He said he cut the wire.
He couldn't have. It was a bluff. Hello? Sheriff? It's the sheriff in Big Indian. Who? Professor Moran. No. There is a man here. I'm afraid he's hurt. Me? My name's Helen Crane. My husband and I got caught in last night's blizzard, and we managed to get to this cabin. And we found... Well, there was blood all over the kitchen and an axe.
Helen, look out. Jake, it's all right. All right. The poker. Helen, the poker. Hit him again.
No, you've got it all wrong. All wrong.
Helen, hit him.
Give me that phone.
Hello, Ed. Yes, it's Jake. No, it's okay. Everything's okay. No, I'm not worried at all. I knew you'd check as soon as they got the service back on. What? Oh, man. Bobcat. Yeah, Bobcat. Surprised him in the kitchen. Killed him with a wood axe. Handiest thing. Yeah, I guess so. Prowling for food, sure. Oh, well, a nice young couple. No, I'm very much alive. I'll explain when I see you. The plow. When? Good. No, we're okay. Plenty of wood, plenty of food. Thanks, Ed. So long.
You... Professor Moran?
Yes.
Why? I don't get it. We thought you were the killer they're looking for.
Yes, I know.
Why didn't you tell us who you were? Why didn't you explain about the blood in the kitchen?
Well, more important, why did you act the way you did? You acted the part of the killer.
Yes. Why did I act the part? Well, you were guinea pigs, I'm afraid.
Guinea pigs?
Yes, I'm head of the Department of Psychology at City University. I sized you two up the minute I saw you. Your marriage was headed for the rocks, and like most couples, you didn't know it.
No, I guess we didn't.
Like any other young marrieds in this day and age, you'd lost contact with each other. We're going separate ways. Well, I set out to bring you back together, and as I said before, people in the same boat have to pull together. All I did was put you both in the same boat by making you face a common danger. A danger that never existed.
Well, I'm hanged.
You carried things pretty far. Professor Moran?
Too far, my dear. Much too far. You'll find aspirin in the medicine cabinet. Bring me a couple, would you? On second thought, bring the bottle.
And so terror turns to surprise and relief. Pretty shrewd fellow, Professor Moran, wouldn't you say? I mean, realizing that Jim and Helen were headed for divorce, that took keen insight into human nature. But then, he was, after all, a trained psychologist. I'll be back in just a moment. Marriage is two people in the same boat. A cliche, of course. But the very core of every cliche is truth. All is not gold that glitters. A stitch in time saves 9, and so on. I couldn't help thinking that all humanity is in the same boat. And what an infinitely better and happier world it would be if we all learned to pull together. Our cast included Lois Smith, Larry Haynes, and Leon Janney. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown.
This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.